All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm coming in right under the wire in terms of where I wanted to be for starting times, but we're here and we're ready to go. So thank you very much for bearing with me. For those of you wondering where the stream was last week, I was at Dirty Rectangles. It's a local game dev collective here in Ottawa. Bunch of very interesting people with very interesting games. I was actually a little late showing up there, so I suppose it's only fair that I'm a little late for Cultist Simulator. It's something that I found very rewarding and hopefully will bear some fruit in terms of giving you guys some interesting games to show. The challenge here is that I don't want to be too pushy about promoting the channel, because the fact of the matter is my reach isn't that particularly large. But clearly something like Cultist Simulator has been a really wonderful experience coming out of me saying, hey, this is a little, unusual and interesting, and I'd like to share it. And of course, I don't think anybody could have predicted it becoming as big as it is. I mean, it's worth considering that when I played it, it was sort of the second prototype, and I have no idea whether or not there were any specific plans for mobile or not. I suspect there was probably at least like an inkling of, well, card games seem to do well on that, so this might be nice to do. But clearly, this has been a much longer and a much more rewarding journey than I ever could have expected. So obviously, finding a game that you love is not the end of the journey. There's always going to be something new. There's always interesting games which are flying under the radar. I hope that you're taking, if you are somebody who participates in the Steam sales, I hope you're taking the opportunity to check out some things that are off the beaten track. Of course, Cultist Simulator is available on sale. If you haven't gotten the soundtrack yet, there's a chance to pick that up. And more importantly, if you have some friends who you think might enjoy this game, you can either share it along with them, or better still, you can gift it to them. I know I probably spend more on gifts during Steam sales than I do on myself, but it is better to give than to receive. So, a couple things I want to talk about. The Book of Hours. It's not just, a fancy logo anymore. I believe the Kickstarter has a date, and that date is August 28th, if memory serves. I've disabled the Steam overlay because it causes CS to crash for me. Let me just double check that I've got that date right. Oh, come on. Where are you, Twitter? Oh, I love this. It now says dream responsibly on their website. Factory weather is... Book of Hours, I was wrong. Book of Hours Kickstarter will be arriving on the 29th of August 2019. So 3 days, 2 months, and you will be able to participate. Hello, Sean Bean. Good to see you. And yes, just in time for me to run out the clock. If you've not checked it out, Book of Hours looks really interesting. You can actually wishlist this on Steam right now, but it is worth keeping in mind there were some backer rewards which were very tasty and were not available for this game after the Kickstarter went away. So if you consider yourself a fan of this series, do check out the Kickstarter. If you don't want to be manually reminded about the game, clicking this button to sign up for updates, that'll bring you to the Weather Factory website. It'll let you sign up for their newsletter. I will tell you from personal experience, while I am a mega fan of Weather Factory, they are very careful with their email list. They don't use it for sort of spamming everything. And it's a lot of fun to follow. So please do follow if you're interested. Also, if you're interesting, but interesting is not as much of a requirement. Also, if you want to find out more about the game, you can go to www.weatherfactory.biz. You can follow them on Twitter @factoryweather, and if you need to email them, support@weatherfactory.biz. Who is responsible? Design, writing, and coding, Alexis Kennedy. Production, marketing, and biz, Lottie Bevan. UI design and coding by Martin Nerukar. Art by Catherine Unger, Clockwork Cuckoo, Lottie Bevan, and Sarah Gordon. Music by Marybeth Solomon, Brent Barkman, Mickey Erb for Mickey Moore Productions Limited. Audio by Soundcuts. Additional writing by Lottie Bevan. By the way, one private little debate I have inside for myself is I'm trying to find out whether or not Lottie gets as many credits in the next game, because Weather Factory has grown by quite a bit. It's not just Alexis Kennedy, Lottie Bevan, and contractors. It's Alexis Kennedy, Lottie Bevan, Mark Gagnier, Claire Sharkey, and Hannah... I want to say Rose, but I don't think that's right. Hannah... It is Hannah Rose. Hey, tall man alive, great to see you. So, obviously there's more... Basically, there are more people working on these games now. There's not the same need to sort of do a little bit of everything. But on the other hand, following Cultist Simulator, I don't ever think that these were like, well, nobody else is available to do it, so you need to... I mean, that might have been the origin. No. We will be continuing. We'll be continuing the Priest, Tall Man Alive. But I mean, I suspect that was probably, at least part of the origin for this. But I am really curious whether or not the growth of the studio will mean more clearly defined roles, or if her capacity to apparently pick up entire fields of knowledge, as if it were downloaded from the Matrix, will continue on into the next game. We'll maybe take bets on this or something like that. Music, Marybeth Solomon, Brett Barkman, Mickey Erb for Mickey Moore Productions Limited. Audio by Soundcuts. Additional writing, Lottie Bevan, I'm repeating myself now, sorry. Additional coding by Fraser McCormick, Chris Payne, and Mark Gagnier, also known as Lyrazider, also known as the person who runs the Frangiclave, which is a very helpful website. Additional design by Carolyn Porter, marketing and PR by Claire Sharkey, and special thanks to Sonia and PK, Matt Hosty, Haley Urias, and literally everyone who has ever sent feedback or a bug report. Thank you. Also, worth keeping in mind, this is the DLC that we've got installed, but I obviously need to follow my own advice here. I would encourage you guys, please check out mods for this game. If you are not up to making a mod, at least support one that's been made. Alternatively, try making some content for this game. We've got some time, at the very least, we have 2 months until the Book of Hours Kickstarter starts, and then of course the time it takes to make that game. So it would be lovely to see the community come around and sort of support the game through creating some additional content for it. But without further ado, we continue on with the story of Roland Knox. He of the 5 Scars. So, what are we up to? Well, number one, we're going to be trying to get the Invocation of the Ivory Dove. I believe that is one for when I get sick. So I'm going to need to wait... or sorry, not the Invocation. We're going to wait on the Winter. Now, there's 2 things that are going to be happening. Winter... So first of all, I need to get sick for Winter to be a factor. But number 2, I actually need to make sure that my lore is a bit higher. I don't have enough yet. We're at level 8 and I need level 10. The quote-unquote inefficient way of me accomplishing this... Sorry, I'm just going to put some keys on the table. Inefficient way would be for me to dedicate time upgrading this lore, but I actually can read things like the Second Glory or the Book of Dissolution. Oh, wait, can I? I don't believe I have Deep Mandiac, so never mind. I'm going to need to bring in King Crucible in order to do that. Unless yeah, we've already got Vac, so... but that's fine, I should be able to achieve that. Oh, so maybe there isn't any reading for me to do. Oh, never mind. Okay, Mandiac is the language of the Gnostic sect in the remotest part of Persia. Deep Mandiac remains the language of a sect within that sect, once it was spoken by adepts. So we're learning Deep Mandiac right now. I'll be able to translate those 2 books, and it's possible that a Second Glory will wind up giving me the Winter lore that I need. And at that point, I can start considering how I'm going to get sick and, and make the... make the Winter Scar. the Formula Fissive is going to be, or sorry, not the Formula Fissive, the Forge Scar is going to be a little bit easier. I believe that one I only need a Bronze Spintrea for, but obviously I'm going to be giving up some health for that, so the plan has always been to focus on the ones that require me to give up health in order to sort of minimize the risk. And then I might get myself an extra health. I might give up some reason or passion just to be a little safer. But in the meantime, we'll take care of some of our exploration. And then, of course, the important question is, what do we do with all of these scars? It's not at all clear what happens with lock scars. Those are still going to be something that I need to work through. But I'm not going to do that just by rambling. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take a minute here, take a look at the position on the board before I go too far into it, because it's entirely possible I'm going to find out that I made a big mistake. I know things were getting a little out of hand for me earlier on, but I think we locked it down in time for me to kind of get back to where I need to go. So the despair is going to be neutralized by... the despair is going to be neutralized by the contentment, so we're good to go there. Perils of Renown, it's going to be Wakefield who carries on. I believe we have some notoriety that's packed away with the funds, but in the worst case there, I think I just send a moth follower to go deal with the evidence. It doesn't really strike me as an option to do anything else about it. Where was it? I think we had some poison somewhere. Maybe I didn't. Of course, the good news is that Wakefield is not yet suspicious of me, so we can start sending nasty things to try and capture him if we're so inclined. So hopefully I'll be getting some money. We are obviously a bit short on cash. In 8 seconds, my last coin is going to be going away, but we'll see how it handles. I mean, we're banking on quite a bit of reputation. We threw a little passion inside, but this is mostly so I could get rid of the restlessness, so we're good to go there. I'm removing my fascination already, so that's peachy keen. We've got another season of suspicion coming up, so I don't have anything to worry about immediately. And again, the last consideration I have is the expedition that we're on. So Neville is dealing with the warded door. We've got the Fifth Eye Curse, which is coming up. Fifth Eye Curse needs Winter or Heart, and we've got 10 Winter already. So unless I want to start throwing some Heart followers in, we're good to go. So I guess the last step is to see whether or not there's anything I want to do with talk. There's always business that I can do, but I'm just trying to think if there's any business that won't result in me generating more notoriety than I really want. And I'll say no. So let's get going. Okay. This tongue has just enough in common with Aramaic to make my studies possible, but not to make them easy. So, the most secret script of the innermost rites of the deep sects of the deep desert, the birth tongue, it is claimed of the Mother of Ants herself. Some books must be translated before they can be read. So let's start with the second glory, because we'll be getting rid of despair fairly soon. I should have read that. Sorry, a work by Juse, the priest and hermit scholar. I lock the study door. The work begins. I have not shirked. The death of the door. All doors must open, as all lives must end. This door has found its end here today. So we've got another fleeting reminiscence, if I'm so inclined. We'll see where our sort of reputation is sitting after all is said and done. This is something special. It may provoke a reaction. The artist's reward. My recent work has accrued modest fame. My paintings have reviewed well. Okay, so I'm also particularly interested in what the exact composition of our rewards are here. This will give me an idea about... So I need to sort of rebuild my treasury. So we've got notoriety. Passion is exhausted. We are currently a bit stale. And we're up 2 funds, which is not exactly my best. Well, I think we'll wait the 2 seconds and we'll improvise a sermon. I do want to do some more painting, but I'd like to have a little bit more stable footing as far as my passion is concerned. Nope. I will improvise my sermon. So this just gets me 10 seconds in generating income that I wouldn't have otherwise had. It also keeps me from spending money on the paints, because I have a feeling I'll wind up chasing... I'll kind of wind up chasing my... my painting recovery. The thing is that passion's not necessarily going to be earning me that much from the painting, so I want to be a bit sparing in terms of what I use notoriety-wise. I need to be careful about my mystique going away too, but there's not much I can do about that. Okay, Dreamland. Do I want to spend... I gotta think now about what I'm actually trying to get in the Mantis. I suppose I can always focus on trying to summon something powerful. But what exactly do I want to summon right now is the real question. I'll go back through the Peacock store, but the problem with this is I'm not 100% sure what I'm trying to summon with it, and I feel like that's not a good enough reason to be blowing up a mirror. You know what? I'm going to be a scaredy cat. I'm just going to go through the stag door for now. I've got reason to burn, so... In my dreams, I know the path to the stag door through the maze of the bounds. Gearby will let me pass, but the path is always a puzzle. I will need reason. The stag door is the Adept's Gate. To pass it is to be initiated into the first true mystery of the House of the Sun. The head, Gearby, weeps to see me enter where it cannot, but it must let me pass. The scarred valves of the door grind open. Alright, so, second glory. The priest Jusa celebrates the extirpation of the gods who were stoned, those hours who preceded humanity. So, Jusa engages in an apologia for the destruction of the hours. They were old, they were cowardly, they were vile, and their time had passed, and it was the shining destiny of humankind to seize the house through glorious battle. So, one of the reasons I held off reading that book, other than the fact that I couldn't translate it, is because of the thing that's now going to happen to me. I should have checked that. I was worried about getting sort of despair from that. So it's entirely possible that this winds up hurting me anyway. But the Elogist knows what is already lost. His power will almost certainly protect us. So this is to protect us from the curse. And here we've got exaltation. Sometimes my words and those I have borrowed move my congregation beyond mere concentration to exaltation. So if I want to go through the spider's door, this is a chance for me to get an extra body. I will leave it be for now, though, and hope that that just translates into cold, hard cash. This time I'm going to do reason, and that's just to clear out my passion for another painting. So of course the challenge here is that I'm trying to deal with level 2 staleness. I think what I'm going to try and do is maybe use 1 mystique or 1 notoriety, and then 3 passion. Actually, I guess I can do that now then. I didn't need to give up the passion. But yeah, I'm going to try and overdo passion in order to get some of the staleness down. Our devotion has drawn comments, so we've got lots of notoriety, but we did get some extra money, which is nice. Of course, this is going to cause some problems for us a little bit later. So the Trembling Heat, I don't think that's enough to bring in King Crucible, but it's high enough. So the question now is, do I want to go for the Ascent of Knives, or do I want to try and go for the Painted River? Painted River has the risk of giving me Fascination. I don't think the other ones result in anything negative. So let's take our chances with the Ascent of Knives. A bitter atmosphere, so I'm going to need to figure out what to do with this winter. Should have thought about that. And Forge would have been a decent idea because I could have I could have painted the forge with bitter black salts. So that maybe wasn't the wisest decision for me to make, but we'll be able to work through it. So I visited the Ascent of Knives last night, that harshest of roads through the house. It has been sacred to the Menascate and the sun and rag since the intercalate, where the true sun was divided. When I woke, my room was freezing. The chill of it had cracked the window glass. Okay, so I didn't go for a member of the congregation, so we don't have anybody to sacrifice. Let's go back to the stag door, just because it's less costly for me at the moment. And then the challenge now, of course, is I'm going to have to find something to do with that. Yep, that's exactly what was going to happen. So now I need to find something to do with this bitter atmosphere. I do have more options than you might imagine, though, in terms of getting rid of this. I might do a summoning, but of course the summoning itself is going to have some problems in terms of, when that one decays, it's going to wind up turning into some winter influence that can become dread, and so on and so forth. So one way or the other, I'm going to need to deal with the bitter atmosphere. Jusei recounts how the hour called the Seven Coils was slain in battle by the colonel, and how the Grail devoured the hour called Tide, and how the egg unhatching fled like a coward. He's quite vituperative about the egg unhatching. He warns darkly against its return. So we've got the recitation of lost hours. 6 are gone, 5 came from stone and 1 from light. All went to nowhere. Still their memories have power, and now we call upon it. Use this in a rite with martensite paste and an assistant dedicated to knock or other resources of equal power to summon a maid in the mirror. So we're in good shape as far as winter is concerned. Now really what we need to do is we need to encourage fervor, and we need to find a way of getting our we need to find a way of getting sick. But these are all things that are fairly easy to predict. I'm going to take my Deep Mandiac and read the Book of Dissolution. Alexander Probst, following the foundational work of J. Wrigglesworth Jensen, recovered a copy of this work from the Mountain Temple in Persia. Other copies surface now and then, usually seared on rock. So, lock the study door, the work begins. I believe there is still one other rite, which we've not yet gotten anything out of. So this will very helpfully turn into contentment. And Season of Ambitions is coming up, so I'm going to have a restlessness which I'll want to paint away. Our power is stronger than the power that was here. The curse won't touch us. So I think I'm going to take... Oh, I don't have the opportunity to paint it away right now. So let's say I've got 4 passion. That's good. So let's do another painting. I'm going to roll the dice. I'm going to let this one decay. I'm going to roll the dice with this one, and we'll throw 3 passion in. You never know, this might be a living. Hang on, am I going to have the inspiration soon enough? Not really. Let's go for it anyway. Question is, what do I want to use as inspiration? And this time we'll do a wintry painting of Eau Claire. Something to remember them by, perhaps. So that wasn't the wisest thing, because the bitter atmosphere might turn into something that I don't want, but obviously we won't need to worry about the coming despair. I was anticipating the restlessness. So I think one way or the other I'm going to wind up with dread, either from the bitter atmosphere or from the other, it's either from the bitter atmosphere or the restlessness. But I'm getting a bit lucky in terms of these mystique draws. There's still the possibility that this notoriety will sink me, but it's basically a 50-50 in terms of whether or not it turns into a problem. Now, subtle rupture is nice. This will allow me to summon something. Unfortunately, I have a few demands on my attention, so I'm either going to have to eat the icy atmosphere, or I'm going to need to let the subtle rupture decay. But this is one that I want to hang on to in case I get any clever ideas. In sleep, I ran my fingers along the ridged edges of the Stagdoor scars. Our company it was that shattered it, Gearby says suddenly. Before the gods who were flesh, the mantis was forbidden to mortals. We were the first no. He begins again to weep his molten tears. I wish that we had not. I wish that we had died in the world. I've forgotten what else he said, but I remember the shape of the fissures in the stag door, and for all of today, doors will fear my touch. Okay, so let's think about... So, abilities... I've always wondered what... I'm trying to think of what ability you actually put here. We have to look that up again. I say again, I haven't looked it up in the first place. It's less clear to me what this is supposed to do, unless... yeah. These count as abilities too, that's why. Way back through dreams, so we know what those are. This one would change your ambition, this one heals you, and this one buys you drugs. Maybe the white door is where I want to be going because it potentially gets me a protection from the bad guys. Okay. On to the Book of Dissolution. Alexander Probst, following the foundational work of J. Wigglesworth Jensen, recovered the copy of this work from a mountain temple in Persia. Other copies surface now and then, usually seared on rock. So same text as before. The book consists mostly of prayers to the unburnt god, the Forge of Days, which consumes and transforms. It suggests the Forge's power arises partly from its nature and partly from its tools. Okay, so... exotic cravings, what hungers drive us. Nothing happening in the next season. And we now have a fleeting reminiscence, which is nice. That'll be something that I can deal with fascination with, but we're not out of the woods yet. And the progress of the heavens. The great telescope has rusted and fallen from the dome. The lenses have cracked, but pale lights rotate slowly above the floor, like lamps held aloft by dancers. Perhaps they initiate the procession of heavenly bodies. Imitate the procession of heavenly bodies. Perhaps their motion mourns the passing of the sun. The chief of the astronomers who dwelt here must have been a practitioner of the invisible arts. In a cedarwood box in his quarters beneath the decaying bed, we find what we sought. Okay, so made in the mirror, notoriety. So obviously here, Wakefield's going to find something, and the question is, what things are he going? What is he going to find, basically? We've got a consecrated lintel. This door is passed through the door through which power has passed. So I guess I need to rearrange my goodies. I have the Book of Masks, Athena Vanna's work on the rogue hour called The Vagabond in Frisian, I think. A cracked watchman's glass, which surprisingly we don't have. I always thought we had one of them. A forge aspected follower could repair it, but the cost would be high, or I could use up what power remains in it. Definitely not using up the power. And we've got the Larkabine Codex. Christopher Larkabus claims to have purchased 2 handwritten copies of the Codex in supposedly extinct Frisian tongue from a family of witches on the shores of the Sea of Marmara. A third was given to the sea. If you guys can just give me a quick second here. I had a rather surprising little bit of... just a little interruption in terms of the channel. I wanted to make sure that... Yep, we're all good. So, what do I want to do next? I think the Tomb of the Shadowless Kings probably makes the most sense, but Lone and Level Sands, are these both? And in the rain... Okay, so the Tombs of the Shadowless Kings are the next logical step. Right, we've already done that. So, I don't expect us to find a lot from here, but I should probably go through it anyway, so... oh, that's right, I don't have money for this. So... what do I do about the fact that I've got decaying followers? Well, we're going to get money from our painting. So let's do the Tombs of the Shadowless Kings to buy me a bit of time. I'm only going to throw 1 funds in. We must penetrate the mountains past the guardians and brave the curse of the shadow. Wait a minute, have I already paid for my paints? I'm pretty sure that I have. I hope I have. And I think in this case I'm just going to have to accept the elimination of these two influences. Okay, so we are going to go through the passage. I'm going to spend the money on it. This is of course a risk because I am going to need money. But we'll find other ways of getting it. So we must penetrate the mountains, past the guardians, and brave the curse the shadowless kings left behind. Perhaps then we will find treasures. The artist rewards. My recent work is considered notable. I've exhibited the latest paintings publicly. Surely someone will buy something. So this shouldn't get me a lot of money, although it looks like it wound up getting me more than the last painting. Apparently I don't know how to combine or how to properly move reason and passion. There's my notoriety. We already knew that was happening. And more importantly, I still have staleness, so I'm going to want to invest a bit more in terms of my passion. Now, as far as work is concerned, in this case, I think I'm going to go and improvise a sermon again. No need to get fancy. At this point, I'm essentially admitting that this is going to become dread, and as long as I don't have a season of despair coming up, I can live with that. So the plan is this I will take care of after the sermon, and I should have 3 passion with which I can play around with this. What I am curious about though is which card Wakefield takes next. Oh, he took the youngest of the notoriety. That's a real shame. Okay, our expedition plans for the next challenge. It'll consume funds. We can add funds now or can send another follower. So we're good with winter. Font Seducer, Deceived. I actually also have lots of edge. And the Creeping Breath Curse, we need Heart or Grail. So it's the Heart or the Grail that causes me some concern. At the moment, I'm going to throw some money at it, and then I think we're going to take the double trouble of Saliba and Rhaenyra to deal with the bad guys. Oh, I'm going to do one thing to get rid of the icy atmosphere. This probably isn't the biggest emergency, but I can save myself a little bit of trouble by upgrading our heart pawn. This one is loyal but lacks initiative. Oop. And we'll promote them. My follower will kneel as a novice and rise as an initiate. I will administer the necessary oaths myself. So what this should do is this should nullify the icy atmosphere. I'm not really going to be getting anything out of the knock, but on the other hand, I don't really need to do anything with the knock. So now, don't think I'm quite ready for restlessness. This is a tough call because I can always paint. But in this particular case, I think I'll take the Lodge of the Sage Knight, and there's a small chance I'll get Fascination, but there's also the chance I get a favor from Authority. So, and we got a Subtle Fracture instead. Clouds part, walls creak, old wounds ache, a 6th order influence, significant resonances or correspondences. This can be used in some rites to summon minions. Now this one's going to be kind of neat, because I've only got a little while longer for this study, and so we might actually be able to double up this subtle fracture, and I've never really been able to succeed in one of these, so something interesting might happen. Last night in the great pavilion above the grey sprawl of the Bounds, a woman who once called herself Teresa Galmer sat on gilt-fringed cushions and offered me a horn cup of dream wine. The wine is imaginary, she explained, but the cup is not. To navigate the Mantis, one must understand the distinction. Perhaps one day you'll join me on the pilgrimage, or I'll join you. So here, let us share a secret. And her breath tickled my ear. So, I think I am going to do... Well, no, because if I want sickness, I actually want to be careful in terms of what health I'm consuming. So let's go back through the stag door because we have the reason. And we're going to wait a little bit on the study. All right. The book describes an earlier house of the sun whose doors and ways are different. It praises the Forge of Days for opening the ways into the house and for transforming that which was to that which is, despite the screams of stone. So right of the Crucible Soul again, we've got the Formula Fissive, which of course we already had, but if I want, I can turn that into an even higher level Forge. Who was that? Mike in the Mountains. Very appropriate name, seeing as we are currently on the tombs of the Shadowless Kings, which is found in the Rending Mountains. Thank you very much for the follow. I'm glad you're enjoying yourself enough to toss that follow my way. I have to assume that you are a fan of Cultist Simulator. Obviously, if you prefer not to talk during casts, don't make me draw you out of your shell, but if you are a fan of Cultist Simulator, I would love to hear how you found out about the game. All right, so what we're going to do here, I've never actually succeeded in doubling up an influence like this. So apply pressure to the skin of the world, and it will fly apart like the skin of a ripe fruit. Any influence studied with knock becomes knock. So let's see what happens. So the passage of time is one of the reasons why I wanted to make sure I threw some money inside this expedition off the bat. You never know when that's going to get pulled away at an inconvenient time. Looks like we did cause some exaltation, which normally, that's something that sometimes I'd like to kind of turn to my advantage, but right now it's more of a liability because it generates notoriety. But before we do anything, I want to try and get rid of some of my staleness. So we're going to paint away the restlessness again. Well, oh, I need to wait 9 seconds. All shall be open. What did we get here? Ah, we're back to subtle rupture. Cool. So if I wanted to try and summon something, I could, but this has really just bought me time, which I'm not going to be upset about, but it's not going to help me too much just because I have other things to do with the work verb right now. In the meantime, we're just going to wait, and let's translate the Book of Masks. Call upon the Madrigard who cannot be unbalanced. The hour called the Madrigard is at home in the cold. She will almost certainly keep us from falling. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to throw Saliba in first, just because this is a time that I don't need. I know I don't need funding. Okay, so we've got our passion back, so we'll immediately throw this into our arts and crafts. I'm putting the lowest. So we already know that the notoriety has been picked up. I'm going to put the kind of the oldest notoriety in here because in the end what I try to do is make these timers match each other. As long as there is a notoriety on the table, it's going to cause me problems no matter what. An investigator only needs one notoriety to create evidence against me. But so again, like, it doesn't matter if it's at 1 second or it doesn't matter if it's 200 seconds. So this essentially allows these things to tick down a little bit further. The only reason why I like them to be equal is because it means they all go away at the same time. Again, there's no benefit to having a 1 second notoriety on the table if it's the only reputation you have because you know that the detective's going to pick it up. Anyways, I've defended myself against some dread. Not that that was my biggest concern, but money is, so we'll try and get ourselves that means of generating income again. I am, of course, going to want to keep one funds aside in order to pay for paints. That's why I avoided adding a funding to the expedition, because I also need to pay rent. So even more notoriety for me, that's not surprising. To she who is flesh, I offer my wounds. To she who is stone, I offer this moment, and where my old self divides from my new. To she who came from light, I offer my secrets. The door is opened. A lively disciple, loyal and always ready with a song. Now, one thing I'm a little curious about, I'm sure I should know better from the lantern playthrough, but let's try. Okay, so I can throw as much knock as I can at this. 22 is insufficient. Yeah, to exalt a disciple to a key, I will need knock to at least the 21st intensity. In any case, only the most gifted will be suitable. So in this particular case, It doesn't matter that I've got my dexterous disciple. They're not good enough. They're a disciple, they're a follower, but you need to be Enid to become... Oh, interesting. Oh no, there it is, exalted. I think that's the same. I've never actually tried this, but it would seem to me that this is what that text means. Yeah, only the most gifted. So it does have to be on... It has to be on the same aspect. I didn't really think otherwise, but the problem... Most of the times when I've run into a problem in this game, it's always been me failing to sort of respect the rules, or me failing to understand when I'm making an assumption. So it doesn't hurt to check these things every once in a while to make sure that I haven't missed out. I also forgot we actually have a total of 4 obstacles that we need to go by. So I should have done the white door instead of the stag door again. I'll take the Forgotten Chronicle, and that's just because I have a feeling I'm going to be doubling up a lot of lore. Oh, okay, so this does not come at a great time, but I think I can do something with this. Okay, I'm not going to do any dreams. I need to get this work slot available. This is a chance for me to get my scar. I prepared the text for study. So again, because we're sort of at a point where I want to focus on getting these... I want to focus on getting my ducks in a row as far as the scar goes, I'm just going to do another translation so that I don't have too many factors demanding my attention all at once. So I'm going to do a passion... maybe a passion moth sermon. My recent work was considered significant. I may yet earn a living from this, but nothing is certain. Okay, so fascination rears its head. That's going to help me out in terms of... leaving the dream open is something that's helped me out there. I've got contentment in case dread appears. I don't think I'm going to need to worry about it, but you never know. There's a reason why I had that all there. Looks like I still have staleness, so we only got 2 funds out of that. So I'm going to try and keep ahead of the pack. Okay, so let's do a passionate sermon, because that will be the faster one, and we'll do a passionate sermon on Moth. Improvise a sermon on a secret doctrine. I will speak to their souls, and if I speak with conviction, their souls may answer me. Using a suitable doctrine with passionate preaching is more likely to create fervor. Improvised preaching is a little quicker. So I don't have the fervor yet, but the reason why I want the fervor is in order to be able to do the sermon on winter. And in the meantime, oh, you know what? I don't have a fleeting reminiscence. But I do have a Season of Visions coming up, so let's think about some of the ways that I might... In this case, it actually might have made sense for the Book of Masks if it produced dread. Let's think of some of the ways that I might be able to generate dread. I don't have decrepitude, so I can't beg for it. I could try and say something scary to Wakefield. But the Season of Visions will have already triggered, so I think in this case I just need to... I need to see what comes up. What I can try and do, though, is go through the spider's door. That'll generate... not having this will send me down to dreams, and if I get Herschelt's Nightmare, that will generate dread, which I can then use to nullify the fascination. I'm certain that my adversary has lodged a copy of their notes elsewhere, with their solicitor, with their superior, or even with a contact in the press. This is troubling. So we're gonna start by sending... You know what? Sylvia, I know I always send you on cult business, but you're really good at it, so... we'll get them to destroy evidence. Strength is matchless. The Watchers will almost certainly regret standing against us. Well, come closer, dear ones. We have something special for you. So we still have 2 obstacles to get past. The lantern I'm not too worried about, but the curse can frustrate my plans in all sorts of ways. And the sickness counter is now ticking down, so I want to be very careful about how all that goes. Okay, so we've got the trembling in the air. Season of Despair is coming up next, so now I want to be careful about generating dread. That's going to cause even more difficulty. Although if I do generate Herschel's Nightmare, I believe it will go in here first, but I'm not 100% on that. Exaltation. Sometimes my words and those I have borrowed will move my congregation beyond mere concentration to exaltation. The glory demands truth when we are clad in lies, and then it shall burn them from us. The deeper the lore, the greater the chance of exaltation. So, I've now got my fervor to work with. Let's do a sermon. To be a threshold. St. Agnes has drawn me here where I might fulfill my potential, not merely to open doors, but to become myself a door, add lore of at least the 10th level, and fervor to begin the process of creating a lock scar. So, there we go. My people stand before me, voices raised in song, faces upraised aflame. There are doors that few ever see, fewer yet ever open. If I am willing to suffer the consequences, I might someday become one of those doors, for my congregation to pass. Knock, and ye shall be open. Now, I screwed up because I actually also need a restlessness. So I'm going to need to find a way of getting that within 60 seconds. And I don't think I have a way of doing that. So the good news is this will preserve the fervor. Actually, this might kill the fervor now that I think of it. But what I will do, I completely forgot about that restlessness part. So what I'm going to have to do instead is go through the white door, which potentially allows me to get restlessness. Hey, Sean, good to see you. Sorry if I missed your message before. I've noticed the, I think the viewer count is just going down in general the last couple of weeks, and I'm not sure. I feel almost like that's something that Twitch has changed in the back end. But I'm also not 100% sure if it's... Hello, Dalanu. Good to see you, too. I'm also not 100% sure if it's the new streaming program that I'm using that just isn't updating me right away. So I sometimes find it a little... One, I sometimes find it discouraging to see the number down. But number 2, it also causes me... So that already gives me a reason not to be looking over to the side. But also, it's in a different spot that I'm used to. So it's I sometimes miss people's messages. But it's always good to see you. We are hopefully near the end of the priest playthrough, although I have made a couple of mistakes which may have consequences. I've got 153 seconds to resolve my issues with affliction. The other thing that I can try, if I'm feeling very daring, is to read one of these books. I feel like a moth book out of anything is going to be the one that generates dread for me. So I think... Oh, you know what might generate restlessness? Me sending Yzabet off to do Yzabet things. Sorry, it wasn't Yzabet, it was Sylvia. But the more moth that I generate, the more moth influence that I use, the better off I'm going to be in terms of getting restlessness generated. If RNG smiles, Sylvia doing this will save me. Our expedition plans for the next challenge. It'll consume funds. I can add funds now, or I could send another follower. Again, I'm probably going to want to send the Percipient Disciple. Tonight I will dream of. Looks like it's Vitality coming up. Okay, Sylvia did not net me a restlessness. Now I think this is going to take too long, but let's take Sylvia. Hoodwink. My disciple can probably use their talents to part fools from their treasures. So that's going to be another way that I try and generate that restlessness. My alternative could have been to try and generate some dread for Wakefield to deal with, but of course I've got the Season of Despair coming up, so I want to be a little careful about how I handle that. So the good news here is that I've got vitality to deal, to sort of save me. In the worst case scenario... Ooh, now I've got 0 health. Let's see... Another Season of Despair, so I can live with that. So another Exaltation, but I've got an injury. So my congregation is satisfied by my mortifications, but that divine spark is absent. To create a lock scar, you need restlessness, at least 10th level lore, and a particular discipline of body or spirit. You can only have one of each type of scar. So I'm now going to have to sort of manage my... I'm going to have to manage my wounds for the next little bit. Let's make some money. Well, actually, let's get rid of the staleness first. Yeah, we'll see if that works. It's a tough call. Do I want to do one on vitality? Why not? I'm gonna do a painting about how healthy I am. And again, I don't want to touch these tomes yet, and that's just because, you know, one extra fascination is really gonna cause me some problems. You know, one dread I think I can work with, but the combination that I've got right now is something that can very easily spiral out of control, and I'm not really in a position to be able to handle it yet, so. Alright, our senses are sharpened. We should find this hidden door. We'll almost certainly find this hidden door. That's more like it. Okay, we have enough money for paints, which always makes me happy. We'll see what this turns into. Just Mystique this time, but some welcome money too, so I'm happy about that. I could have studied my health if I had more of it. But I don't, so I can't. A way through the hidden door. Faint lines in stone, a surface that yields to pressure. We found it. The hidden door moves with a grating shudder and a shower of dust. Okay, I don't want the... Actually... So normally I would have been okay with the icy atmosphere, because that would have given me the dread to help with the fascination, but when the dread goes away, or the Season of Despair goes away, that's going to leave a fleeting reminiscence. The fleeting reminiscence will then feed the fascination, and I'm out of the woods. So we'll go to the Lodge of the Sage Knight. Now, of course, I could have possibly wound up with fascination from the Lodge of the Sage Knight, so that might not have been the smartest move, but it didn't hurt me, so I'm going to claim victory. In last night's dream, I was in the Lodge of the Sage Knight, behind the White Door. It is difficult to remember exactly how I came there, and the mistress of this place, the woman with the dark glasses, was nodding off as if was nodding as if I had asked her a difficult question. Of course I hadn't. I lost my speech when I passed the White Door. How is it that I can speak, she said to me. I didn't come here through the White Door. I'm not proud of what I did to come here, so let me tell you about something else. So now that I think of it, actually, the Winter Scar seems to be particularly difficult to get. Because if you think about it, you need to have this perfect combination of generating restlessness as well as sickness. And sickness, I think, lasts 3 minutes. Restlessness... I'm trying to think if there's like a guaranteed way of generating it. It kind of feels like sickness and restlessness are really one of those things that just happen to you more than anything else. So I need to think a little bit about how I'm going to manage that. One way or the other, we are good to go as far as contentment and all of our other factors are concerned. So I will collect my goodies. How's our staleness? It's still kicking around there. That's interesting. There's not much for me to do with work. I can always do my commissions, but I would like to get some more money. So what I'm going to do here... Nope, we're going to wait for passion to come back, actually. So let's work at our parish job. I don't need the fervor yet, so we'll just do a good old-fashioned sermon. And before I lose it, let's heal my affliction. I can also heal my injury, but I still have 90 seconds. We'll use money for that. And let's read the Book of Masks. Yes, it's an uncertain one. It strikes me as one of the most expensive ways that I could generate sickness, because there's finally consequences for buying drugs. But especially because they've also implemented the changes to painting, taking up 2 funds per... Basically, it's going to be a 60-second clock, so taking up 2 funds per rotation of the clock, especially when I want to get some expeditions done, I think is a little bit more than what my resources can bear right now. But you're right. You can play the odds with sickness with opium as of either this patch or a previous one, and I just never used it that often. How you doing, Summer? The Mask of the Laughing... Oh, sorry. Athena Vina's work on the rogue hour called the Vagabond, who is known as the Laughing Thrush, the Centipede, the Pilgrim, and by many other names, or as Vanna has it, masks. The Mask of the Laughing Thrush, says Athena Vanna, has a great friendship with the sun and splendor, the highmost hour of the Mansus, now divided and departed. The Mask of the Sight Thief, painted on the river in the Mansus. The Mask of the Vagabond was forbidden the Mansus, not for what she had done, but for what would occur. So I think the way I'm going to handle things, I'm going to try and get some extra money by basically sending my moth followers out to, like, steal. That would have been a little smarter for me to do earlier, because a successful deception, here are the rewards. Let's see how that turns out. So we got notoriety, but I'm also going to be generating notoriety by doing the expeditions, so that's not the end of the world. But that was actually a very profitable one. I'm slightly curious what I get if I do it with knock. I'm just trying to think if there's any downside to me doing that right now. Burglary. My key should be capable of defeating any lock in this city. Okay, so this might also be good for getting some cash. You're doing good downloading The Sinking City. Pretty excited to play it. Oh, I didn't realize that had come out. Let me just check a quick thing here. By the way, those of you buying The Sinking City, if you use the creator code SystemChalk, I get a small cut. Where is it? Oh, it comes out tomorrow. It came out today. Oh yeah, no worries, Summer. I mean, this is why I take those opportunities to remind people, because Epic kind of puts the burden on the user to give credit for that. I can do links, but I don't want to pepper them all over the place. But yeah, I didn't realize that came out today. I thought it was the 27th. It's the 27th for you. Okay, I didn't realize that was a regional thing. Do let me know if it's good. I will plug the hell out of it if I think I'll make some money out of it. The Red Grail's vigor will almost certainly preserve us from this curse. So that was the reason why I brought the Rhaenyra Saliba double bill. I'm probably going to have to spend the money to cure myself of the injury. Looks like Wakefield's on the prowl again. The sick room grows close and stale. Time to get up. So... the medicine is dark and as bitter as tar. It would be easy to suspect that I'm being poisoned. I could, of course, use dark magic to accomplish that, but probably better that I just do the more vanilla approaches to curing my injuries. The Mask of the Centipede recalled her birthplace, Mia, which had punished her for creeping into the temple precinct. The mask cursed Mia to drink only dust and to be remembered only by the wind, for not beneath any mask does she forgive, and the centipede's hunger is not to be forgotten. Okay, so we'll see if the Red Book does anything nasty. The sister and witch came from the west, and they were born in 2 wombs, one a princess, one a monster. Nevertheless, they loved each other from birth, and met in secret to seek union. Okay, what do I want to do with my work tile now? I did say I was going to paint. Yeah, let's go for it. I think what I can do, if I paint glimmering, there's always the chance that that's going to turn into another restlessness. Now again, I don't have sickness, but if I do have restlessness up, that makes me a little bit more inclined to start spending money on drugs. And of course, it also gives me an opportunity to use a bunch of passion to try and get rid of the staleness. So I'll toss one of those in. I'm going to do a painting on glimmering just because glimmering has the moth aspect. Are you planning on streaming more Cultist Simulator after the Priest victory, or is Book of Hours in the future? So Book of Hours, welcome ports by the way, Book of Hours isn't starting its Kickstarter campaign until August 29th, and then of course August 29th is when they start trying to get funding for the game. It certainly is not the time when, I don't know if they'll have a demo like in the case of Cultist Simulator. If you've been following Hannah Rose's account, you'll definitely know that she's been doing doing a little bit of work on it already. Obviously, Weather Factory is clearly working on this game right now. But I still have the Ghoul playthrough, which I started on Steam, so we still have that one to finish. And I think the most likely future is going to be this. It obviously, hey, no problem at all. I'm glad you're enjoying it. It's obviously, for those of you who are on the fence about Stellaris, you have 2 places you can get it on sale. Paradox Plaza is, they're selling it. They've got their sale going on right now, so if you want to buy it directly from the developer. Or if you want, of course, Steam has got its summer sale going on, and that's a chance to pick up stuff like that. Anyways, to return to your question, Ports. So I've got my Ghoul playthrough to go, and as you know, it takes me a while to get through a playthrough of things, and in the Ghoul, I'm particularly lost. So there's really no ironclad rule that says that I'm going to get through that one, faster just because I've done all the other legacies. But the rough plan that I had for now was that I would do a full playthrough of the Ghoul, and then I would sort of transition the Cultist Simulator content into basically into like VODs. So this might mean some of the VODs that I do like on Tuesdays and Thursdays. By the way, I'm pretty sure I scratched my eye because every time I've been putting my contacts in and out, it's been just absolute agony. So I was recovering yesterday. I did not record Surviving Mars. I apologize for that. So that's going to be another Thursday where that doesn't come up. But essentially what I was going to do, if between finishing the Ghoul and the Book of Hours coming out, what I would probably do is I would free up my Wednesdays to do other things. And then what I would be doing instead is I would be making VOD-focused content to start getting some achievements which I hadn't accomplished before. And I actually have a couple of like fun run ideas, which I don't think would be appropriate for a live format, but would be appropriate for a recorded format. And I think people would enjoy that. So as far as live stuff is concerned, I don't think that probably won't be going anywhere for a while. But there will always be something Cultist Simulator related, I think. There's usually enough demand for it. And the question at this point now is whether or not it's live or whether or not it's more basic. The curse shrivels. The red grail's vigor will almost certainly... Oh, no. Well, it says shrivels. Our power here is stronger than the power that was here. The curse won't touch us. That's more like it. All right. Now, as far as the staleness is concerned, I might actually have to do all 4 passion to get rid of that. That's going to be kind of interesting. It definitely seems very sticky. There's a very slim chance we might dodge the notoriety with Wakefield. We're going to get it from finishing the expedition. but I'm really curious how this is going to turn out. My follow was returned with a haul. Oh, that's right, and I'm also going to get the notoriety for this. So yeah, Wakefield is gonna punch me into paralysis. Actually, also as a follow-up to Port's question, I will, like, so I have every intention of backing the Book of Hours on Kickstarter. And so my hope is that I will have the Book of Hours when all of you have it. And I will very happily be streaming it. But I mean, the thing is, like, we're talking about a game that isn't out yet. I have every hope and expectation that Weather Factory will get the funding and make a good game in the case of the Book of Hours, but clearly I should not be expecting that to be like ready to go immediately. Okay, so my staleness has gone away. If I need emergency money, I can get that. All right, so now I got to start thinking about restlessness and sickness. All right, you have a game recommendation. You don't know if you've heard of it. Stygian Reign of the Old Ones. It's another Lovecraftian game from your Turkish countrymen. It has demo at the moment. Full game is out soon. It is a game that you might like to play and stream. That is a wonderful recommendation. I can never make promises that I will, that I'll be able to stream everything that people request, but I am always looking for an idea of what people would like. Old ones. I always want an idea in terms of what people would like me to stream. I've got the website up here. It's a very striking art style. Cool. I'm gonna check this out after the stream if you don't mind. But yeah, I do. So the problem I run into with game recommendations is I always want people to give them to me, because even if I don't play that specific game, it gives me a really good idea of what people want to see. And that's valuable information because, like I think everyone else, I just have too big of a library and not enough time to do the games. And so another example I can take is that Night Team 4 game. I obviously really liked that one. I thought it was an exceptional game, and I've really enjoyed playing it. But that was offered on a key hosting service, which I'm not too fond of the way they do things anymore. And so, you know, that just as easily could have been something that wound up being sort of swept under the carpet and just being like, yeah, whatever, it's another thing from that service I don't like very much. So obviously having people recommending stuff to me is a way that I can sort of calibrate, and when I see something along those lines come into my mailbox, it makes me that much more likely that I'll try it out. So thank you for that, Seimer. And for those of you that have been holding back on recommendations, please do let me know what you'd like to see me play. Like I said, so long as we're all kind of clear on the fact that making a recommendation doesn't immediately sign some contract between, you know, me and you, and that I'm guaranteed to play this, and if I play it once, I'm going to play it all the way to the end. I am really interested in hearing people make those recommendations, and it helps me a lot, because if it's not a game that I ultimately get to stream, it makes me more likely that I'll stream something like it if the opportunity comes up in the future. Have you played The Darkest Dungeon? I have indeed. I actually, that used to be a pretty regular Friday game, and then I found Night Team 4. So once I get Night Team 4 out of my system, we'll probably be back to Darkest Dungeon on Fridays, but I really like that game a lot. And Valken to you, as a fan of Octavian Zero, recommends Path of Exile. Funny thing is, Valken, because of Octavian, I have actually been seriously considering Path of Exile. I don't know if I have anything to add to the streaming of it, but if you want to see me play it, if that's not just you thinking that I'm going to get frustrated by that, I am not opposed to trying that game. The only thing I will warn you is that I never actually got through Diablo 2 because I got a little bored of it, and it took me a while to get through Diablo 3, so I will admit that I like ARPGs, but I've got very narrow tastes for ARPGs. So For you, you don't mind to see you in any game. It's my rules. You just enjoy watching your streams and you like to share new stuff with people. Well, that's the spirit in which I kind of started the cast, is to be able to share people with that. So I always appreciate the vote of confidence in terms of saying, it doesn't matter what I play. But no, I like recommendations like that. I've got that open in another tab, and I'm definitely going to look through it. Because even if I just give it a demo and let other people know, one thing I found valuable, like this is how I found Cultist Simulator. I played the demo on Twitch, and it just so happened it was so enjoyable and everybody seemed really into it that I wound up doing more of it. So even if I ultimately don't play the full game, I figure the demo is a nice little chance to let people know about a game and they can decide for themselves if they want to take the plunge. Potts says, nice, it's one of your favorites, been playing since around late early access. Yeah, it actually took a friend of mine playing it, and I heard that voiceover, and I knew I had to try the game. I've not actually beaten it yet. I'll probably beat it on stream for the first time when we get back to it. But I used to live in Vancouver, which is where Red Hook is based, so it was definitely one that kind of caught my attention. While I haven't streamed it as much as I would like to, I definitely like the game, and I think it's really well done, and I'm always happy to see kind of Canadian studios do well. When the Great Drought came, the kings of that land tried to sacrifice the princess and the witch, so they sailed across the sea. When despair took them, they flung themselves into the drowning waters, and so found the Painted River, where they entered into the Mansus through the offices of the Red Grail. Nevertheless, the Codex ends with the condemnation of the Grail. Valken says, the repetition of it, though, is different than Diablo games. Plus, there are so many mechanics and details that I think you'd love digging into the nuts and bolts on or off stream. Oh yeah, I knew that was Path. But yeah, that's I've definitely heard that there's more going on in that game than was apparent. I don't know if I played it really early on, but it just didn't feel like there was a whole lot there when I first tried it, so I kind of got out of it pretty quickly. But I'm definitely, I always like to be wrong on games like that. I really like it when games like that show me something new that I maybe didn't appreciate at the time. So I'm definitely happy to give Path another try. Now I can approach the white door through the bounds. Now I can press my fingers on it, feel its chill, watch it swing open. As it opens, my mouth closes, tightens, heals over like a lost deformity. Around and about me is the cobalt light of the Mansus. So here I'm trying to maximize my chances of generating restlessness. This one admittedly is just for me to get a vitality, but what I'll start studying afterwards is passion, to just kind of increase the chances of a restlessness trigger. Some days are better than others. Some days the sky is nothing like a filthy sheet. Sometimes the river runs clear. The one thing I'm not doing is cultist business with my Moth or Nock followers for extra money. That actually turns out to be a really good money maker, so I think the painting change did exactly what it was intended to. Hey, more mystique going away. It still won't help me, but... The shadowless kings were buried only with their most personal treasures. They expected no luxury in the afterlife. Here's a tiny cache of the things this king valued. So, more notoriety. I mean, I suppose actually, that's a bad thing for me to say. What I should be doing is I should be sending Clovette on a charm offensive. Not everyone is sympathetic to our aims, but if we have problems with a reputation, our disciple can probably smooth them over. So, Rhaenyra's back, Saliba's back, the Hint is back, the Maid in the Mirror is back. Got more wolf snow for those muggy summer days. We've got the Lebitic grains if I ever want to... Oh wait, this isn't for painting, so never mind. And we've got the Amaranthine Nectar, one of the flower maker's many gifts. In a brighter age, it might have bestowed immortality. In this blighted history, it still has an unparalleled sweetness. I don't believe I have one of these already, so this is sort of turning into the garbage pile again, but... So the question is, do I want to explore with the Vagabonds map now, or do I just want to go straight through the Temple of the Seven Coils? I think I'm just going to go through the Temple of the Seven Coils. Almost certainly I'm going to need to feed Neville to a snake here. And what else? A crumbling temple in the in a shadowed defile. It was built, it seems, in the third history, the one where much later the worms overran Europe, but it exists in all histories now. So, hint made. We've got a little more cash, so we can put that in. The site will tolerate no life, says the journal of Zane Mark Gentis. So we will find no serpents there, but this place sounds cursed, and Gentis recorded a door that his expedition could not open. So we're definitely going to need to throw a key in the expedition for sure. The congregation listens closely. I have shared no secret doctrine today. So the question is, do I want to go painting, seeing as I can delay the inevitable? No, I think what I'm going to do instead, I only have one other expedition to do, so I'm going to take the opportunity to get some commissions done. So we'll give him, it's lore 6. Maybe useful for a commission. So I'm going to just clear out my commissions just so I can get a little bit more going on there, and we'll see if okay, nothing exciting coming up. So Furtive Truth is kind of a weak lore to go for. Let's see what we get in the Lodge of the Sage Knight. Oh, cool. I have learnt something that will earn me a favor once only. This will preserve you or a follower from imprisonment, but it cannot be relied on. So, last night I dreamt of a blue silk pavilion overlooking the cloudy labyrinth of the Bounds. I listened to the mistress of this place speak of other visitors. The Suppression Bureau come here. Did you know that? I think they hope to recruit me as an ally. She snorts derisively. After what they tried to do to Christopher. But their folly is your fortune. I will tell you something that may help you, if the Bureau ever troubles you. So, I've always wondered if you can try and convert one of the hunters using the favor from authority. I don't think you can, but that would be such a neat thing to try and pull off. I know you can convert the hunters, but maybe that's something to try for later. Let's do... I am running a lot of risks in terms of generating restlessness right now at a point where I'm not really generating sickness. But against my better judgment, I am going to go through the white door again. And let's study passion. Again, that's just so that I can get the moth triggering. Okay, our expedition plans for the next challenge. It'll consume funds. I can add funds now, or I can send in other followers. So, Desolation, we need Forge or Grail. The worms in the world need Lantern or Moth. Okay, so I think the answer here is to... I think we're going to send the Grail team again. Lantern should be, so the other obstacles, so it's Forge, or actually technically Forge is the better one for me to send. Yeah, you know what, I'm gonna do that instead. So Valsine, so Forge will blast open the door. Forge will also help with the Desolation, and then we bring in the Precipient Disciple to deal with the curse. So it turns out Neville's going to be fine. Neville is not required for this expedition. I really hope they take the Mystique, but in the end it's not going to matter. It's just mostly me trying to get rid of that last notoriety, or trying to minimize the amount of notoriety that's on the table. Well, screw you too, Wakefield. We are practical souls, strong in Forge. We should be able to make it between the baking rocks to the green places. Well, you know what, Tristan, help out, please. Our forge skills should keep us safe and lead us through the baking rocks to the green places. We'll almost certainly be fine. So, lantern... Not quite what I had in mind, but okay. What do I want to do next? I'm okay for money. I might want to be a little more cautious, but let's live a little dangerously and do our heart work. I think that's level 4. Yeah. Well, there's the restlessness. I think it's just a little premature. So whenever the principle of heart is implicated, I may gain vitality. That's good news there. Season of Ambitions is coming up, so I've got more restlessness than I know what to do with. So my answer to that is going to be to start buying drugs. In times of a special crisis, I might visit a discreet pharmacist to purchase a tincture of opium and make my dreams sweet, but only in times of a special crisis. This is an expensive and risky way to gain contentment. It might provoke sickness or despair. Now, this despair is a problem, but we'll persevere. I'm going to keep the painting on standby on the chance that I need to get rid of one of these restlessness. Earnest speeches, affable conversation. Optimism is the spice which saves. So do I want to try and get rid of this other notoriety while I'm at it? Survey says yes. I'm not really letting my followers do enough, so we'll get them to start charming people. I'm not looking to generate any more restlessness at the moment, so we're going to leave study open. I got to think about this, actually. I am tempted to study health, but I've actually already got the Course of the Heart, so we should have a couple of vitality ready to go in case our health does get harmed. I do need to make sure that I generate money next, though, so... Oh, that deep piece, but I should not do this again. Again, risky, but calculated. I'm also going to need to tuck away some money for the expedition. Okay, so I got to paint away. This restlessness for sure. So let's. This is going to mean that Leo winds up kind of standing around, not doing much. But I'm going to paint the notoriety and the mystique away. Or sorry, put that into my painting just to maximize the return. We have another restlessness generating. It looks like 2 seasons of ambitions, actually. But we're no closer to sickness. The place behind desire. Is there something to be learned from the satisfaction of desire? This is going to be a tough one now. So I'm generating a bunch of contentment, but I'm not actually getting what I need out of it. So before I buy more opium, I'm going to call upon the Forward of Days who ends all nights. So I think I'm going to need one more money for the, or one more funds for the expedition. I'm going to wait until I have some moolah for it, though. Okay, so I'm going to ride this restlessness as long as I can. We're likely not going to get what we... Oh, Jesus, actually... I'm rolling the dice on this one in a big way, but this can pay off quite handsomely if it turns out. Oh, you know what? It won't, because the restlessness is going to die out on its own. So let's study the literature instead. Okay, so that didn't quite turn out the way that we'd planned, but I'm fine with that. So in the meantime, let's try and get some cash. I'm going to send Enid to go steal things again. My key should be capable of defeating any lock in the city. This is just purely as an income generating move. So it didn't generate too much cash out of that. But it's better than nothing. The real question is there a way that I can try and make the most of this restlessness before it goes away? Now this one actually I should paint away, I think. So we'll throw the notoriety in again. Yeah, this is going to be a pure reputation painting. And I think I need to keep the money around because I need to pay for paints, I need to pay for the expedition. So I'm high as a kite, but not clear. I don't have a clear path in terms of getting what I need from the ritual. This is really tight timing because if I don't do this correctly, our expedition plan... Okay, so we're okay for money. So like here I've got a timer of 60 seconds. So I've basically got a window of 10 seconds, which will already be taken up by the painting, with which I can get the fervor. So even then, I think this restlessness is going to wind up painted away. Honestly, I'm only going through the motions. The quality of my work will no doubt suffer. Finished. There's nothing to be ashamed of here. I'm so creative, I can be high and phone it in and still produce something worthy. I'm probably going to need this passion for painting, so I think I'm going to leave the study alone for a bit. I'll maybe get another fresh air and exercise just in case. Okay, 2 funds, not terrible, but not great either. Still not generating staleness, which is good. And I think we're going to play the same trick. This will almost certainly generate staleness now. Sun and Rags, that weary chilly power can lend us lantern. It will conclude this curse, probably. And we add the Precipient Disciple. The Sun and Rags lends lantern light. It will almost certainly end the curse here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wait until I see a Season of Sickness come up, and then I'm going to do everything I can to generate restlessness then. Okay, so Season of Vision's coming up, so I want to be a little careful of things like Dread. Spend the money on better paints, which I will. And I think after I get the cash, and of course the notoriety that comes with it, I'm going to send a Moth Disciple to go deal with the evidence. So this jumble will be helpful to sell, but I'm not going to unlock the auction for a while. So Porter, please deal with that. And I'm leaving Dream alone for now just because I don't really have anything to do with it. I can always try and get like vagabond maps from Dream. That's probably what I should be doing with the Peacock's Door. But for now, I want to focus a bit on getting my treasury and my scar. Okay, we're doing a little bit better as far as money goes. Now there's an interesting question as to whether or not I want to try and paint that staleness away. Again, if I do Glimmering, then there's a possibility of an old unhappy far off things, which will give me restlessness, but then there's the question about the sickness. But you know what? Let's throw the 3 passion in. Let's throw the older notoriety in. And let's do a glimmering nonetheless. Our power is stronger than the power that was here. The curse won't touch us. So the aim coming up next is going to be to go for the Vagabond's map almost immediately. Okay, trembling in the air. Fleeting Reminiscence will deal with most of the problems that could emerge. So yeah, basically I'm going to try and preserve these summons and use the Vagabond's map as soon as possible. It's pretty unlikely I'm going to be able to get another location in time, but we'll see how that turns out. 7 coils, said Gentis Journal, but the idol within is an impossible heap of stone serpent. Coil upon coil, a knot that dizzies the soul. Wrongness squirms in the temple corners. We should search the place quickly before its influences overwhelm us. My minion has returned, the evidence has been destroyed, and I'm a little safer. So no restlessness, though. So in terms of talking, I just want to think through my options a little bit. If I need money, I can send a key or a moth. If I need to go through the spider's door, I think I can send a Grail follower to capture someone. I think edge followers tend to murder people rather than brigand prisoners. I can turn in my commissions, which probably makes the most sense. So I think I should probably retool my setup a little bit. I'm okay-ish for money now. It'd be nice to get a little bit more if I'm completely honest. Let's turn in the commissions to begin with. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start sending Moth Disciple out to try and deceive people, because this is, again, going to trigger old, unhappy, far-off things. It'll also generate some money, which means I can buy some opium, and it'll make me a little more likely to get the combination that I need. And then what I'll also be doing is, in between sort of nasty business, I can get my Forged Disciple to repair my mirrors. Still have staleness, unfortunately, but there's nothing I can do about that right now. So let's do a quick winter commission, just because I have the slot available and I have money on its way in, I think. And yeah, let's go through the Peacock's door. The Peacock's door reflects the mirror I hold in my sleep, and the mirror reflects the Peacock's door. Already a sensuous shiver ripples its surface. It aches for fracture, and when it finds that satisfaction, I will enter. We'll also get some books from this expedition, which will help me out in terms of getting things done. Okay, so we can actually start right away. Laidlaw can repair the Watchman's Glass. We'll have to give up a Spintrea for it, but that's why they're there. The Coils of God. The temple is as clean as if it were newly swept. No sand has crossed the threshold, no dust settled on the idol's horrible twists. We find things tucked away here and there amid the coils, as if they had been playfully left for us to find, or as if the idol had coiled around them. So bitter atmosphere is going to be something for me to deal with. Felcine and the hint. A gold Spintrea. Initiates of the Hidden World use Spintrea to pay for services. They can easily be sold for more traditional funds. Gold Spintrea display scenes that are not visible to mortal eyes on their reverse side. Spintrea can be sold for more traditional funds in the auction house. So 8 lantern, 16 Spintrea value. It's an ingredient, auctionable, and it has the aspect secret histories. Watchworms, a tiny pot of stunted, desiccated larval remnants from the First Worm War, rank with the power that inhabits dead hours. Lethal poison. Under no circumstances should you put this in anyone you want to keep. In Memory of Gods, a work by the Barrow Child, a nameless Gaulish adept who joined an organization known as the Ordo Lemea in Fusine, and the Division Bell. First its voice, then after, nothing. Alright, so I'm going to have to figure out something to do with the bitter atmosphere. I might even just upgrade the pawn and be done with it. But of course, that's going to be the last chance I get to get rid of that troublesome influence. So maybe I'll find other uses for it. We'll figure that out. Like I said, we're going to use the Vagabond's map immediately so that I can make the most out of the Maid in the Mirror and the hint. The Maid in the Mirror will ultimately decay into some kind of winter influence that I'll need to deal with at some point, but... the river, wrote the sage Mech in the Book of the Centipede, runs through the sands out of myth and into legend. This is the place where the centipede was born, they say. The sands of which Mech wrote hide perilous curiosities. So, let's translate in Memory of Gods. We'll figure out what to do with the bitter atmosphere next, but for now, I'm just looking for ways to get sick. Isn't there something like if you like dampen your hair and then go out in the cold weather, doesn't that make you sick? Is there a way of doing that in Cultist Simulator? Nope, this is passion. I want to keep that separate. I suppose the other alternative is to try and resummon the Maid in the Mirror with the bitter atmosphere. That'll be a way that I can accomplish that, but I think in 20 seconds, I'm just as well to throw it in the expedition. Okay, so the Peacock Door, I can get Fascination, I can get Dread, I can get... I'm still going to go for the Red Church, but I am going to write this down. I think I have... I had like a record of this stuff, and I think I misplaced it. Yep, okay, time for a new note. So, Peacock. Red Church. So I think the War Museum is going to generate dread. It usually does, but let's see what comes up. Favor from Authority and Winter Lore. Okay, well, I mean, out of everything that could have come up, this is the least bad. I was a little tempted, by the way, to go for the Fascination, because when the bitter atmosphere decays, I'd be able to sort of offset the dread with the Fascination, but I wasn't sure. Oh ho ho! I gotta be... Okay, let's find every possible way I can generate restlessness. Each of the stained glass windows of the Red Church is devoted to a distinct appetite, and the scenes they show are from life. Last night, in one of the uglier windows, I saw the appetites of a certain public figure satisfied in private. I know he won't want this information made public. Perhaps he'll show me some consideration. Okay, so we are going to be all hands on deck for generating restlessness. So white door's up first. We're going to throw health at it and see if we can get restlessness from the beginning. We've got our winter commission done. As it is, though, once we finish repairing the Watchman's Glass, I'm actually going to send a moth follower off to work on that. I'm going to go for broke. And I'm going to give a passionate sermon on Moth, and with any luck this will translate in Old Unhappy Far Off Things. Need a silver Sprintrea. Well, that's welcome. And again, if this turns into dread, it turns into dread. I've got sort of higher priorities at the moment. So we've got Lagan's Tomb, a low slope-sided rectangle of mud brick in an obscure fold of the desert. It is not remarkable to look at, but Lagan was counted among the immortal long, and no robber has ever breached his tomb. So we'll take advantage of the opportunity. We'll take the Maid in the Mirror and the hint. We're going to be low on money, so all the better that I'm going to be sending a moth follower off to rob people. Lagan's tomb will be difficult to find in the desert. We must navigate by the stars. Its door has long resisted the assaults of tomb robbers. We must bring what force we can. There will likely be a curse. We must be prepared for it. Okay, so we've prepared the text for study, but again, we want to try and maximize our chances of generating restlessness, so I'm going to study passion, and again, it's just to try and maximize the number of times that Moth is throwing itself up against the RNG. And again, as it happens, I'm going to want the money from... well, as it happens, the Season of Ambitions is coming up, so I maybe went a little overboard on trying to generate restlessness, but one can never be too careful. So I believe everything's going to fall into place now. I'm still going to go through the... I'm still going to send... let's get Yzabet to go steal something. The reason I'm doing that is because I still need money. But this is less about generating the... This is less about generating the restlessness and more about generating income. Okay. So what was it? Forge or Knock, Forge or Grail, Heart or Lantern. Okay, so we'll bring the Forge team. This time it's going to be Laidlaw and Tristan. Sometimes my words and those I have borrowed move my congregation beyond mere concentration to exaltation. The glory demands truth when we are clad in lies, then it shall burn them from us. The deeper the lore, the greater the chance of exaltation. So I have some money to show for it, that's good news. Hey, Hidden Citizen, good to see you. We're possibly going to be getting our next scar. I need to be careful. I don't want to run this fervor right away, though. I want to buy myself a little time for the restlessness to generate. Okay, Sage Knight. Again, chance that chance that fascination comes up, but not one that I was too worried about. In last night's dream, I was in the lodge of the Sage Knight behind the white door. It is difficult to remember exactly how I came there, and the mistress of this place, the woman with the dark glasses, was nodding as if I had asked her a difficult question. Of course I hadn't. I lost my speech when I passed the white door. How is it that I speak, she said to me. I didn't come through the white door. I'm not proud of what I did to come here, so let me tell you about something else. If I want to use this icy atmosphere, I need to use it now, but I don't think I have a way of using it in a way that will... that won't block me in terms of making the most out of my... my current fervor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to snap to recover from fatigue. That's going to reduce my recovery time to 30 seconds. That's going to be helpful because obviously we're going to be quite weak with an illness and then a scar. We are going to have dread to contend with. I'll have to figure out how to manage that, but we didn't generate any more restlessness from the literature, so that's good news there. I think normally I would have thrown a health in to generate a vitality. Do I want to do that? I think I'm going to wait the 10 seconds to see what happens before I do anything fancy with my study. Oh. We are practical souls, strong and forged. We should be able to make it between the baking rocks to the green places. Tristan, please make sure. Our forge skills should keep us safe and lead us through the baking rocks to the green places. We'll almost certainly be fine. Again, they'll help out with the warded door, and we need to make sure that we add the Percipient Disciple to deal with the curse, as well as a bit of extra money. Our devotion is drawn comment, but fortunately only in the form of mystique. And once I see what happens in 3 seconds, I'll decide whether or not I want to use health to generate a... Okay, it's the Season of Suspicion. So actually what I think I'm going to do here, let's just... Let's take what I needed. I'm also going to double check that I got this right. So this illness has damaged my health. I'll need to rest before I'm fully recovered. Cure your affliction with funds or vitality. So it does have winter aspect, so that's what we were looking for. So on we go. Health. Fervor. A recitation of lost hours. My people stand before me, voices raised in song, faces upraised aflame. There are doors that few ever see, fewer yet ever open. If I am willing to suffer the consequences, I might someday become one of those doors for my congregation to pass. Knock and ye shall be opened. Alright, so we get the restlessness in 10 seconds. I got my health back. Uh-oh. I don't think I planned this properly. I am going to go for the health to generate my vitality a bit faster. Because it's Season of Suspicion coming up, I don't have anything to fear in terms of not having enough health to deal with my immediate problems. The sun is setting. We look back across the desolation we crossed, and all the colors it assumes in the evening night. Night falls, stars prickle, the wind presses its cold hands to our faces. Onwards. I don't know if that means we passed or not. As yet, I have only the needs and desires of any other mortal, but what stirs inside me. So, the yearning has come up, which means we're going to be able to put the affliction in play. And I'm going to be dancing on a knife's edge as far as my health is concerned. Also, despair is coming up, but again, I don't have to worry about that until later. I'll probably get contentment from painting, but... Successful deception, here are the rewards. Well, notoriety is 1, but I have some much needed money. I'm gonna dodge the despair by raising this pawn. My follower will kneel as a novice and rise as an initiate. I will administer the necessary oaths myself, and as all of them, this one is loyal but lacks initiative, and will turn them into a sexy fellow. Our expedition plans for the next challenge. It'll consume funds. We can add funds now or another follower. So it turns out we did pass the desert. We'll wait to see if the dry soul curse causes me any problems. But we've got the funds in for now. We'll add the precipient disciple, and then see what happens. More exaltation. The deacon reads now from the book of Saint Respicius. Bronze shapes, but the heart labors. Hunger shows the red cup, and the sickness the snow. The lantern knows while moth understands, and the sword, when it comes, is its own answer. So, we already have a bronze Spintrea set aside, but that's not the time for that. Now is the time for affliction. The 9-year vision. Wait in the white on the walls. Watch the sun slow. Chion walks the streets in silence. Her skirts are the wind, so white her surface. See what ceases in the storm. So once we're done studying health... Oh, actually I get the full health back, so I'm just going to leave that be for now. This vitality is going to be used to get the injury fixed right away. We've got a season of visions coming up, so there's a small danger of reading the memory of gods, that's going to provoke fascination, and I don't have an easy way of dealing with it. But I feel like I can generate a dread pretty easily, so... The Barrow Child, a nameless Gaulish adept who joined an organization identified as the Ordo Lamea, writes regretfully of the destruction of the gods who were stone, the hours who preceded humanity. The Barrow Child singles out the Sacred Tribune, the Red Grail, the Forge, and the Moth for a special condemnation as murderers of the first gods. We live in the shadow of their crime, she writes, and we must evade it or repeat it. Yeah, and you know, Delanu, one of the funny things is there's a little bit more, if you watch from the very beginning, there is a bit more of a... There's a little bit more to get because there are sort of references made to previous texts. So, for instance, there's someone who's talking about continuing the work of J. Wrigglesworth Jensen, and J. Wrigglesworth Jensen writes one of the first books that you read that gives you one of your first rights. But the whole point of this game is that you kind of learn it while playing. I always like to say that there is no running Cults for Dummies book, and so ultimately the confusion that you as a player are feeling is the confusion that your character is feeling. And part of the fun is piecing it together, and honestly, I think this is just one of the many talents that the person who wrote a majority of the content has, is that even if it does not make sense on its own or in that moment, it's usually so enjoyable to read that you're willing to go along for the ride, even if it's not entirely apparent. But I can definitely say one of the reasons why I've played this game so much is because it's not just like flowery for the sake of showing off some writing skills. There is a whole system behind it. I think one of the most rewarding things, now that all of the content is out, now that we've got the Ghoul, now that we've seen the Apostle Legacies, there are people who have been referenced from the very beginning of the game who appear later. There have been concepts that have been present from some of the earliest books that you read inside of the game, and they're almost these secrets that have been hiding in plain sight. And now that all of the content is there, you kind of get to appreciate everything in this world. It really hangs together. And on top of that, the Book of Hours, which the Kickstarter will be coming out on the 29th, it takes place in the same world. So I suspect there's going to be even more that we're treated to over time. To she who is flesh, I offer my wounds. To she who is stone, I offer this moment. Where my old self divides from my new, to she who came from light, I offer my secrets. The door is open. An avid disciple, loyal, but greedy. So I don't get this trick of getting rid of influence by upgrading these followers anymore. But that's fine because we're also getting close to our endgame, I think. Also, some people have told me that they find this game's very good at teaching them English. So I'm sure it's going to be a very formal English that they learn, but it's definitely a game for people who like to go to the dictionary to find definitions of words that they don't know. I've done it a couple of times, though less on cast. Okay, I want to be careful not to generate fascination if I can. My congregation waited until sunrise when I woke from the white sleep. Frost has withered my hand. There is no wound, not as such, but there will be a scar. Health has been permanently converted to a scar. There are always 7 marks. You will need 7 lock scars. There is always a way, though the way may be narrow. So I'm going to start by getting rid of this affliction. This is why we studied health, was so that I could have the vitality, which wouldn't cost me funds, which I'm short on. We've got the recitation of lost hours is back. My job is back. Here is my winter lock scar. When I am a threshold, this scar will open last. Well, get all this nonsense out of the way. All right, that's actually rather valuable information. So as it turns out, this is the... this is already in the final position. Open to a fervent kiss. Open Blade's touch. Beat of the drum. Answer to the scissors. Open at the flush of dawn. So it's possible that Forge is the first one. So I have a big dilemma now. The question is, do I risk what I already have? I also need to find a better system for my Okay, so let's say this is now going to be the consumables row. gonna mean that Wakefield moves up a section, but I think this is probably the best way I can handle all my new goodies. So the I mean, it's not the tidiest setup that I've got, but I think this will help me out with my storage problems. And there's all my pigments. I think there's one last thing that I can do is just impose a little bit of order among the It's dangerous to keep these things so close to each other. You go reaching for the wolf snow and you grab the watchworms. Amateur hour. Delanu says, you agree, the writing's very competent, particularly the card mechanic is what you like the most. Yeah, there's so many things to love about this game. I know this is one of the reasons why I always have to laugh when people talk about streamers being objective. I don't feel it is the job for streamers to be objective. I think they have value in terms of communicating what a game is like, because obviously when you read a review in like a games journal, you don't actually see the game in front of you, whereas somebody playing the game will give you another dimension across which you can evaluate it. But I always kind of have to laugh about it being more or less authentic than print journalism, because obviously, there's nothing stopping me from being a complete fanboy over Weather Factory's games. I legitimately enjoy them, and I want other people to enjoy them as well. But there's no, there isn't any kind of, I don't know, there's no standards council or something like that keeps me from being like, oh, you can't be too enthusiastic about the game. You can't say it's everything you wanted it to be. But yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat with you. I think this is a really clever idea for a game, and even getting to play it in its really primitive form, I sort of felt that way about it. So the dilemma that I have right now is, as soon as I get a restlessness, I can get my next scar. And the question is, do I feel safe with just 1 health, or do I want to give up a bit of my reason in order to have a safety net? Fortunately, I don't think I need to answer this for myself yet. I think what I can do instead, I'm going to take the opportunity to paint and make a little money. I'm also getting staleness though, so I need to be a bit mindful. Let's just throw 3 passion in there. Hopefully that'll get rid of the staleness. As far as what I want to paint, erudition. This is a painting for smart people. That's not true, Hidden Citizen. I mean, one of the things that I've enjoyed the most about this game is how it really rewards intuition. So there's plenty of times where I've tried to reason my way through problems. And as I'm sure a lot of you've seen, especially with Night Team 4, I definitely go down rabbit holes, and I definitely, get too clever by half for a lot of these things. But this game definitely, even though I don't consciously recognize what some of the things is, one of the things that's always impressed me the most about the writing behind this game has actually been how I have a lot of hunches and I will try a lot of things. And I tend to find when I just say it feels right that I should combine these 2 cards, it generates the right outcome. And that when I've tried to say, okay, because I think X and X means Y and Y is equal to Z, then I'm going to do this to have this outcome, and then it just doesn't work. So I actually tend to find that, I mean, again, like, so obviously you need to like reading to want to play Cultist Simulator and eventually the Book of Hours. But in terms of like, you know, I don't have an English degree or anything like that. Like, I definitely think it's a game for people who just kind of like to immerse themselves. Like I said, it's kind of like one of these games where if you liked reading the lore descriptions in Dark Souls, you'll probably like this game. The Barrow Child describes how the Grail drained the hour called Tide, and how the moth usurped the wheel from within, stealing its skin, and how the forge first eclipsed the shattered flint. Perhaps these are glories, she observes, but then it cannot be that glory is merciful. So we did get dread for it. I'm going to need to find a way to deal with it, but I mean, maybe just a sufficiently competent painting will help me out there. Our expedition plans for the next challenge. It'll consume funds. I can add funds now, or I could send another follower. I'm not sure if I'm out of money, but in this case, we'll send the Precipient Disciple. Let's toss money for paints. If it asks me for more money, I'll give it to him, but I don't want to tuck away money in something I can't recover it from in case I need it. All conviction. The world goes away. So I might get fascination off of that, but that's not the worst thing that could happen. Oh, unless it happens in 6 seconds. We call upon the Colonel, who cannot be denied. The Colonel is a fierce hour, but a power which knows light, and he has survived worse. His power will almost certainly protect us. So if I get fascination, I'm doomed. Okay, well, contentment will help me. Glimmering, more mystique. More contentment. Put all my passion in there. I still have the staleness, unfortunately. And no fascination, so that's good news. Let's do another commission, just because I'll be in decent enough shape for now. Another sickness. Okay. Mirrors are calm, the sun is steadied, the glory recedes. I'm sane, if that means anything. No fascination drives your visions. It's over for now. So I got my health back. I'm going to study this just for the vitality, and we will get rid of our dread with our contentment. All right, they need a bronze Spintrea. Now, I don't want to use all of these because I'm going to need one of them for the last scar. It's also possible that I'm going to need another ritual. I'm missing one, the right intercalate. The curse shrivels. Our power is stronger than the power that was here. The curse won't touch us. The mirror is repaired. It shines again as it did once before. So that's level 8. Oh. So I kind of want to prefer the Watchman's Glass for dreams if I can, just because I've got a surplus of silver Spintrea, whereas I'm short on bronze and I actually need the bronze. I'm tempted to try and generate a little restlessness by sending off my my Sneaky Disciple. But I'm also going to need to send off my Sneaky Disciple to get rid of the evidence. So let's turn in the commissions that I've got. And then I can think of other culty things to do. By the way, if I were to do Night Team 4 on Friday, how would people feel about that? Because that seemed to be a game that a lot of people enjoyed, and there's now a chance to get drops. By the way, it is 25% off, so for those of you who are waiting for it to go on sale, now it's on sale. I'm certain that an adversary has lodged a copy of their notes elsewhere, with their solicitor, with their superior, or even with a contact in the press. This is troubling. So this is going to be something that one of these three deal with. Fortunately, there's a bronze Spintrea with my name on it, so I'm happy about that. It only takes 10 seconds to turn in a manuscript, so I'll wait for the 10 and then I'll get someone to deal with the evidence. Our power... Okay, this is treasures lie before us. I don't need to spend any money. And of my moth followers, it will be Yzabet. Please dispose of this. I have finished the manuscript. And I also have an affliction, but in 1.2 seconds I'll have the tools that I need to get rid of it. And I've cleared my mind, so another fleeting reminiscence. If there's anything nasty that comes up through Season of Visions will be okay. Nothing happening in the current season, so this will be a chance for me to get rid of my vitality issues. And I think I'm going to do a 3 passion, 1 notoriety painting. Let's do it about fleeting reminiscences, I suppose. That's partly just I want to see if I can get rid of the staleness. It also earns me a little bit of money, which is nice. But yeah, it's mostly just to make sure that I keep my funding where it needs to be. Lagan's End. In the central chamber, Lagan, the once immortal Long, lies peacefully naked on a sandalwood bier. He is perfectly preserved, a slender, dark-skinned man in excellent physical health, but at our approach he crumbles into blackened flakes like fallen leaves. Objects glint from the remains. Okay. Again, I don't have much to worry about if we generate a fascination. Light in the skull. Whenever the principle of lantern sheds its light, I may recall additional scraps of knowledge, so this will turn into erudition for me. We find a pocket watch, a book, a quantity of Algerian currency, all from our own era. He must have come and gone many times from this place before he resigned himself to his final rest. On the back of the watch, we see engraved the closed eye of the Long Society, called the Obliviates. So again, we've got notoriety, Tristan and Laidlaw, who got us through the desert. The Hint did admirable work, the Maid in the Mirror, I don't think really did that much, but we're happy to have her anyway. We've got Azoth. Store this only in containers of a pure element and never permit it to grow warm. Perhaps it isn't the final solvent that the alchemists sought, but it will do for our purposes. So if I ever need a lot of knock, that'll help. The Holiest Hemolymph. Faint traces of an enigmatic substance split in the commission of an ancient crime, tightly sealed in a glass ampule. Who will remember the barber's son? Now this has Remnant, which is going to be something that I keep in mind for my Ghoul playthrough. We have the Voyages of Phoenician of Oriel, the impossible travels of a sea captain of the late Phoenician era. Suppressed throughout recorded history, those who read it were said to disappear. We have the Atlas of Dreams. The shape of the world changes in each past, but the shape of the Mansis is reflected in all of them. One cannot map the Mansis, but one can make an attempt to map its reflections. Now I believe... yeah, so this is just a straight-up Secret Histories. And we have the Alcapurine Shears. Level 12 Moth. All right. Organization is very important in this game. You go crazy if you don't. All right, so in 2 seconds, I'm going to resummon the Maid in the Mirror using a ritual. In terms of exploration, I'm going to take a chance. So I don't really have any secret histories to work on right now. So I'm basically looking for either Vagabond's maps or there's Vagabond map and then there's one below. But I'm basically looking for the last 2 ranks here. So I'm going to take this opportunity to go to the auction house and sell off some of my goodies. Hey, Plagas, good to see you. We still don't have the right intercalate, if that's something that we need, but there's no reason I shouldn't be translating this work, so. So if I want to give up my passion, I can, but I think I'd rather give up my reason. My passion I kind of need for an income. So the artist's reward. My recent work is considered significant. I may yet earn a living from this, but nothing is certain. So more fleeting reminiscence, more mystique, glimmering, contentment, but I don't really need it right now. No staleness, so if I need money, I will have a chance to get it. Okay, so now I gotta think of some honest ways to make some cash. Let's throw our passion into a service, I suppose. What am I doing? I wanted to get... Okay, well, the Maid in the Mirror's... nope, I have a way of preserving the Maid in the Mirror, actually. But I am going to be looking for ways to generate... I'm going to be looking for ways to... You... Oh, that could not have come at a worse time. My minions return, the evidence has been destroyed, and I am a little safer. Okay. Is there a way I can try and preserve this... I don't think I'm going to be able to make something happen with this restlessness. We'll see. But it's going to be a really, really narrow path. No, actually, I think from this basic level, I'm not going to be able to do... I don't think I'm going to be able to do it, because essentially what I'm going to need is I'm going to need the 40 seconds to generate the fervor, and then I'm going to need... I need 48 seconds to generate the fervor, and then I'm going to need... 40 seconds to do the ritual, which will then take the rest... No, hang on. Yeah, 40 seconds to generate the fervor. There's an outside chance I might actually be able to make this work. Let's see. I am going to wind up with, like, fascination and dread as a result, but that's not the worst thing that could happen to me. If they both go at roughly the same time, I just use them to cancel each other out. So we'll wait the 2 seconds and we'll consider the position. So restlessness, this is going to last a minute. So subtract 16 seconds from that, and I wind up with 44 seconds. I believe I can pull this off. So now the question is, am I more scared of fascination or dread? I'm scared of nothing. Sorry, Dalanu, I'm not going to do a ritual. I'm just going to let these things decay on their own. And it's because I'm gonna do scary things. Did I get the... Oh, I was like, wait a minute, did I really generate a fervor? Okay. Oh my god, I just killed myself with that 8 hang on. 44 seconds. The 8 this is enough. Oh, that's heartbreaking. I blew it with my passion. I didn't leave myself enough passion open to be able to take advantage of this restlessness. If I wait the 8 seconds for this to go by, yeah, this thing's counting down as I lift it. So I gotta find a way. Oh, you know what? This is gonna be the dumbest thing ever, but it's gonna work. Nailed it. All right. A travelogue of sorts. So let's read our travelogue. Phoenicium clearly visited the Mansus, sailing the length of the Painted River. He also claims to have traversed the sea of finest sand, to have dared the blazing waves at the sun's surface, and to have descended upon an underworld ocean lit by lamps of black nephrite. So I've got 43 seconds. Yeah, so I'll have a 3-second window. So, Passion, Moth. I feel like I'm getting a little stale in terms of the Centipede Testament, but it's one that seems to be generating fervor, so I can't get too mad about it. Oh, Jesus, it's 50 seconds. Okay, well, we'll just, How you doing, chat? Nothing to see here. Okay, that should be long enough. So the idea here is both of these are going to decay down, and I'll be able to cancel them out. Of course, if we Season of Visions coming up, well, that's going to be fun, I guess. The Auctioneer's Gavel bangs. My item is sold. Now let's sell off a copy of the Velshorn Inscriptions. So yeah, as long as I don't have like a Season of Visions or Despair coming up in the next 30 seconds or so, I'm okay to cancel those out. More Mystique's always good, more money is even better. I guess I can start picking up some commissions while I wait for all of this. I want to be a little careful because this will allow me to preserve the restlessness if it comes down to it, but I now know I have an alternative source of restlessness, so I got all worked up over nothing. Actually, if anything, it's potentially going to create more dread for me, but that's what I get for cheating. Alright, the glory demands truth. When we are clad in lies, then it shall burn them from us. So here's my fervor, and I'm just gonna go for the full risk play, and we will we'll see if we can make this happen with 1 health. So fervor, the formula fissive. My people stand before me, voices raised in song, faces upraised, aflame. There are doors that few ever see, fewer yet ever open. If I am willing to suffer the consequences, I might someday become one of those doors, for my congregation to pass. Knock, and ye shall be opened. So in 15 seconds, I'll be able to double up the lantern, or the fascination and the dread to cancel each other out. Let's have a chat with Poppy about what kind of a commission she wants. I made a bit of money selling off my possessions. I only have one more thing to sell, and then I need to start using my exploration for better alternatives. This oddity is probably worth something, but it's hard to be sure. Hey, a Port Noon anecdote's nice. So I'm going to need to summon some things before I can take advantage of the location, but Fernisham's final voyage is to retirement on a peaceful island across an evening sea, where he identifies a spring whose waters will keep him safe. I'll be forgotten, he declares, and this work my only trace. I'm just trying to think. I don't think there's any reason for me not to be going into dreams now, so let's take the peacock door, and we'll use the watchman's glass. The peacock's door reflects the mirror I hold in my sleep, and the mirror reflects the peacock's door. Already a sensuous shiver ripples its surface. It aches for fracture, and when it finds that satisfaction, I will enter. Oh yeah, there's a reason why I didn't do dream. It's specifically so that I can combine the consciousness of radiance and dread, which I will now not be able to do, and a season of despair will be emerging sooner than I want it to. I have only myself to blame on that. Here's what she needs: a very substantial treatise on knock. So there's a way to get rid of these. I just locked it off, and I will have a full second. In fact, this is going to be particularly troublesome because I'm going to have 2 dread. Actually, no, there'll be a way around it, but it's still a dumb move for me to have made. Murmurings in the audience. For whatever unlikely reason, my item has caught the fancy of bitters. So what'll happen is despair will come up. It'll consume this dread. This one will turn into dread itself. So I'm going to have 1 dread to kill the fascination with, and what I need to do then is find contentment to neutralize the other despair that emerges. Or the other dread. Sorry, to neutralize the dread that will have been consumed by the season of despair. Painting might be the best way, or possibly a trip to the Ecdysis Club. Although I do kind of want to use the Port Noon anecdote first. Port Noon is where the long go to enjoy the sea and the sun, to drink from the spring that makes them forgotten, and to stay out of trouble. Mostly out of trouble. The stories you hear in the Hotel Ciervo are golden dewed, quintuple distilled toasts to memory. Served straight up. Exploring with a scrap of knowledge may uncover secret locations in the evening isles where Port Noon is located across the great ocean. Alright, the deacon now reads from the book of Saint Respicius. Bronze shapes, but the heart labors. Hunger shows the red cup, and sickness the snow. The lantern knows while moth understands, and the sword, when it comes, is its own answer. So, Spintrea it is. The vision of Flint. In the vision, I walk the cold tunnels beneath the house of the sun, in the light of the lamps of the nephrite and black jade. Angles of flint protrude from the walls, glowing with the heat of their end. I trail my hand over each. They are no longer sharp, and so my people will come with their candles. Okay, 2 funds for our trouble. That's good news. So I think I'm going to just start exploring with the Port Noon anecdote right away. Across the far bright sea, Port Noon lies. Exiles, monsters, and visionaries have long favored the waters around it. Perhaps we shouldn't get too close, but it might be useful to get close enough. It's possible my existing followers might be enough to see us through, but it'd be nice to have a summon or 2 to help me out. Okay, so I can get a Splendor if I want to summon something really bright, or I can risk the Red Church or the Worm Museum. Let's try, as cool as it would be to have the Lantern to summon something, I still want to see if I can discern some patterns. So the Worm Museum has the Vagabond's map, and this is the one thing I didn't want, so Secret History and Nectar. I really, see the thing is that, sorry, I just knocked over a pen. Given the fact that I've got a Season of Despair that's active, going to the Worm Museum is a suicidal choice. It actually puts 3 despair on the board, which is not a risk I'm willing to take, especially this close to the ending. So in this particular case, it's unfortunate I got this. You know, one of the Flower Maker's many gifts. In a brighter age, it might have bestowed immortality. In this bladed history, it still has unparalleled sweetness. This is definitely not what I needed, but it's better than getting a third despair, even if I think I can get rid of it. So when I visited the Red Church last night, they told me, between their clawings and their caresses, that the flower maker had visited but lately, and with his nectar and his promise. I woke twinned in sodden sheets, with the amaranthine nectar brimming in my hand. I captured what I could of it, only a few drops, but it will be enough. So this is a job for Valsine. And in the meantime, oh, I still don't have the dread because the restlessness is now going to turn to dread. So another season of despair coming up, so not much for me to do about that. I don't want to go through the stag door anymore. The reason for that is I only have 1 health. In its essence, I want to avoid consuming health in all but the most desperate circumstances until I find another way to increase it. If I do ultimately decide to increase it, I might just stick with the scars. Okay, so let's get rid of that. Composure. The doors of vision swing wide. A little darkness will mellow my light. Even dread has its uses. And my congregation was very generous while they inflicted terrible wounds on me. I'm trying to think if there's anything I want to do with my study right now, and I don't think there is. The congregation have waited all night in vigil. I am awake. My wound is almost healed. The scar will remain. Health has been permanently converted to a scar. There are always 7 marks. You will need 7 lock scars. There is always a way, though the way may be narrow. I know Oriflammes was my source of income before, but not anymore. So, when I'm a threshold, this scar will open to the touch of hot iron. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 scars. Now we need to figure out what to do with them. So, lantern, knock, instrument, aspect, lock, scar. It's not clear. In a rite with sufficient intensity of knock, this scar might open. Okay. So Azoth is currently, I believe that is my highest level item. The alternative, of course, is Edge, but yeah, let's see what the Sunset Rite gets me. Oop. Right, that's influence. That's not helpful. Invocation, instrument, and offering. Okay, hint, a Threshold of Ascension. Threshold of Ascension requires 7 lock scars and knock aspect of the 24th intensity. So, I have a feeling that I need the right intercalate for this. Because with the current form, yeah, I can't do anything about that. If I did the Rite of Rebel Striving, I could say, okay, Lantern, Lock, Scar, but where do I put the others? Nowhere. So, well, 24 isn't the end of the world. So we've got 10 here, 12, and then if we had Enid or Neville, they would add another 10. So it's tough. If I wanted to increase it as well, I could use the formula Ophidian. But the thing is that I'm going to need to find another ritual anyway, so I'm not in a rush. to get that. So now we're in this rather, I mean, it's a nice problem to be in, but we're actually at a point now where I need to start hunting for more lore, and I kind of get my choice in terms of how I want to pursue that. So for now, I'm going to take advantage of my position at the parish, and I'm just going to do a bunch of sermons through my wired shut jaw and other deformities. We'll see if I get lucky with Wakefield as to whether or not this notoriety goes away on its own or not. Here we've got St. Tentro of the Deep Door. A monastery hangs grimly off a cliff edge. It should have fallen into the sea by now, but we have read the monks drown victims in a deep pool beneath to win the sister and witch's protection from the sea. One more year. The real question now is whether or not I want to go without summons, or if I want to try and summon something. You know what? Fortune favors the bold. Let's try... So the monastery hangs grimly off the cliff edge. It should have fallen to the sea by now, but we have read the monks drown victims in deep pool beneath to win the sister and witch's protection from the sea. One way. Okay, so I'm going to say Forge and Moth will be the two aspects I want to bring along, and we'll throw money at the problem. The monks of St. Tentro will not be inclined to allow us to pass. They will hide their treasures well, and if we manage to seize them, no doubt they will pursue us with curses. So, might also be that I need Lantern rather than Moth or Forge, but given the fact that it is sort of precariously placed, I really feel like that's an invitation to Forge. Silver Spintrea you will have. What I should have done was gone to the Ecdysis Club before I went on the expedition. So do I want to buy opium, or do I want... Let's see what Dreams gives me. I'm also really curious if I get lucky or not. It's a 1 in 3 chance that this is going to work. In the meantime, I can try and think of... What do I want my people to do? I mean, it wouldn't hurt to... It definitely wouldn't hurt to try and make some more money. But let's see what we're up against. So we've got a Fifth Eye Curse, Heart or Winter to suppress the curse. Contemplatives best or condemned to service here. They're bound by their curious vows. We can murder them or deceive them, but they will not be seduced. And a hidden door. Hidden doors can be found with Lantern or Knock. So Forge was useless for this. I think my highest priority at the moment is to get Heart or Winter in. And in this case, Dorothy, you're up. So I think I'm going to prioritize... Well, I could... Okay, Hidden Doors, no problem. Let's focus on getting rid of the Fifth Eye Curse first. If it turns out that we deal with the monks, then we just add another Moth. If we run up against the curse, then we add a Heart Follower, and we take it from there. And the 1 in 3 triggered. Why not? Okay, well, we're going to be generating notoriety no matter what, so let's get Enid to go burgle things. And I'm going to give another sermon. Again, the hope here is that I'm going to generate some contentment. In the worst case scenario, I can spend money on it, but it's definitely... Now is not the time where I want to be giving up health, and it's also not the time I want to be generating dread. So opium is my worst possible choice right now. And if I'd been paying attention, I actually get free contentment, so... I will... Let's see what happens. Our devotion is drawn comment. So I'm not as worried about generating the notoriety from burglary, just because I know we're going to deal... We're already going to be dealing with the consequences of the expedition. So let's add Porter to The monks, a potent deceptant. We have brought here with us certain sacred texts whose meaning is apparent only in moonlight. The real challenge here is going to be finding a spot for me to add the money. They're stronger and wiser than we had supposed, and now their blows have found a mark. Well, in fairness, we've had a pretty good run with the deceptions, so... So one of the reasons I'm cranking out the parish job... Oh, I dreamt of opening doors, red doors and gold doors, and doors of glass, and doors bound like books, and railway carriage doors, and castle gates. Behind one was something I seek. I woke with the slamming of doors still in my ears. So one of the reasons why I've been focusing so much on the parish is that I'm not too worried about the notoriety that exaltation will generate at the moment, because I know I'm already going to be getting the notoriety from the expedition. Once I stop at breaking, entering, returning in cellars and attics and secret compartments and sealed closets, the rich and not so rich conceal their treasures. Although I should be going through the peacock door now. You can never have too many high-level... An expedition member has fallen, our numbers dwindle. Okay, so I want to deal with Tristan. Tristan is actually probably the best person to lose in that case, because I still have enough people to try the deception. We're gonna throw the funds in right now because we'll be going up against the monks next. Okay, more money, that's good. I'm gonna paint away the restlessness when the time comes. The wounds are grievous. Heal a fallen follower with talk. So we don't have a season of sickness coming up, which is good news. Tristan will do what is necessary to create. Sometimes one must first destroy. This one has suffered in my service. Wounded followers don't count as followers and can't be used as agents or assistants. They may die in the season of sickness. Use talk to treat them. So my follower has returned with their haul. So like I said, we're going to be generating notoriety from the expedition. So if I want to be generating notoriety, now is the time for me to do that. Obviously, I'm going to have a chat with Tristan to heal them first. I'm a little curious, can I use vitality? Nope, in this case, I just need to buy the medicine. So perhaps now they'll survive, but there are limits to what the human body can sustain. And my expectation is that we should be able to get through the rest of the expedition. Again, money's going to be a little tight. But my expectation is I put another heart follower when we get to the curse. We brought here with... Oh, you know what? I don't want to risk a heart follower right now, so I'm just going to add the extra funds. And we'll see how the rest goes. So more exaltation. Again, at this point here, normally I would have done another... sermon. But instead, I'm going to do a painting. Just to get rid of the restlessness. And again, when I finish my expeditions, then I'll stop generating notoriety and I'll let them all decay on their own. But for the meantime, I'm going to try and make as much money as I can by doing bad acts. And of course, if we're lucky, we get the ritual that we need out of this expedition. Actually, one thing I could try doing is to upgrade the formula of Phidian. So... I need erudition or an HQ with a library. I would need silent intensity or an HQ with a pit or dread. And paradoxical resolution, and I already have the sanctuary. So this would be a risky one, but not an impossible one. We'll see what the books that we find produce first. Unresolved ambiguity. So the question is, do I want to try and get a little greedy and go for the Worm Museum or the Tricuspid Gate, or do I want to try and upgrade the lore? Let's see what the Red Church has to offer. Well, nothing too special. So I'm noticing that there's a pattern where favor and winter are the two other options. Passing the peacock door, each of the stained glass windows of the red church is devoted to a distinct appetite, and the scenes they show are from life. Last night, in one of the uglier windows, I saw the appetites of a certain public figure satisfied in private. I know he won't want this information made public. Perhaps he'll show me some consideration. So I don't have any way of going through that door at the moment, so I will leave my dreams alone for now. Season of Despair coming up, but I've got Contentment, so in the worst case, I have a solution as well. Once our guy is healed, faith is a double-edged weapon. These monks have great talent in the matter of believing, and so they have believed our lies. First they fought us, then they were convinced. The wound is healed, but the scar remains. With each scar, the scholar but each scar, as the scholar Shulga once observed, is a lesson. So here, I gained an edge scar. And because he's so good, we'll put him immediately to work. I guess we can afford the Wildering Mirror, and then we'll do the Watchman's Glass. I probably should have done that in the other order, just so he could have repaired the other mirror while I was going through the peacock door, but that's life. Okay, no staleness, so that makes me happy. I also don't know how much money I generated off of that, but that's not the end of the world. And I'm just going to go back to parish life. Okay. We should have two money, so I think we're good for that. Let's do Leo. Please help us with the curse. And of course, if it's the door, then we'll just put Neville or Enid on the case. While I'm at it, Forgotten Chronicle, story of a city without a gate, a queen who was not born, a war which was not fought. I need Glimmering, Sanctuary, Erudition. See, painting should get me the Glimmering, so let's study reason for the Erudition, and then I think I'm going to try and upgrade the Forgotten Chronicle. I might even do 2 Erudition just to be safe. Nothing to worry about there yet. Must be a door here, but without lantern or knock, we can't uncover it. Neville! We call upon the breach crow who sees what is lost. We bear a great power of opening. We'll almost certainly find this hidden door. So once the painting's... no, sorry, this isn't the painting. This is the service. Wherever it's kept, it will be visible in the splintered reflections of the pupils. All right, for some reason... I didn't mean to give that as a gift. I meant for him to repair that. Faint lines in stone, a surface that yields to pressure. We've done it. The hidden door moves with a grating shutter and a shower of dust. Words contain knowledge, now I contain it. It is a little like theft, and a little like feasting, and a little like the progress of an infectious disease. So I'm going to get a second erudition just in case. I should get a batch of... glimmering just from painting on its own. I don't think I need the money. We've already got 10 hearts, so I can just leave that be for now. All right. It might be that I just forgot to give him the material, in which case that's perceived as a gift, but I feel like I probably just did something wrong. All right, we are strong enough in heart to be almost entirely secure against this curse. We're calling upon the Ringyu who is renewed. I should also do something with my job. Okay, whenever the principle of lantern sheds its light, I may recall additional scraps of knowledge. So, this is helpful because it gives me erudition. I just kind of wish that I had that happen a little earlier. Now I've got a definite surplus of erudition. Got my Watchman's Glass, which makes me happy. Where'd it go? So... sleepy time? And let's double up the Forgotten Chronicle for now. Study the histories. History is less certain than we are taught, but I can learn from the study of its blurred edges. Now, Forbidden Epics, I'm going to need... also erudition in. Okay, so everything needs erudition in. That's fine. I'll have enough time on the affliction. What I might try and do is actually study my... oh, no. I think I'm actually going to pay for that health, because if I don't get that dealt with right away, then very bad things will happen to me. Oh, while I'm at it, though, let's get Yzabet to remove the inconvenient evidence. So I'm going to paint away the restlessness. We've got erudition, which I'll be dealing with in a little bit. Once we finish our dream, I'm going to... So dream, I'll spend the money to deal with the affliction. I don't want to play with fire when it comes to my 1 health. And with restlessness, I'm just going to paint that away in a little bit. So here I'll take advantage. You know what? I think I want the notoriety to go on its own. So we'll have a nice even division between mystique and passion. You know what? That was a dumb choice because the notoriety was going to be around no matter what. I should have just embraced my reputation and took as much money as I could out of it. Oh well. So, do I want to be brave and take the unresolved ambiguity, or do I want to see... I don't think it's going to be the same pattern as last time, so... I hate that I'm doing this, but... Vagabond's map and the nectar again. Interesting. So I don't think there's any way of predicting what's going to be behind them. I did read this one recently, so I'm just going to skip over it. Just mostly, it's actually less that I don't want to read that, and more that I'm really scared I'm not going to heal my sickness at the time that I need it. So I need to give it erudition. Our power is stronger than the power that was here. The curse won't touch us. I'll make sure that we don't need more money for the expedition, but we should be good to go. Coming up next, another season of suspicion, so I don't think there's anything I'm going to be able to do with that. Hopefully the evidence is cleaned up before too long. If it isn't, our favor from authority is probably not going to last long enough to get rid of the problem, but... As Dalanu points out, Tristan will forever carry the mark of my boldness forever. Okay, so we'll have another opportunity to paint. My minion is returned, stumbling, mumbly, clumsily bandaged. They were caught in the coils of their own plan. Heal a fallen follower with talk. Season of Suspicion's coming up first, so do I want to risk the possibility that a Season of Sickness will come up? You know what? I think I'm safe from a Season of Sickness, provided... Oh, you know what? Yzabet's the only one available to do this right now, so I don't have a choice. I do need to heal her. Yeah, this is going to be precarious. Here we are in the cave of the deep sea pool beneath the monastery. Dark water shivers in the light of our lamps. As we approach, the level of the water suddenly drops. There were no tides in this sea. What's happening? We have profaned the cave. Already the hours withdraw their blessing. The water sinks away, leaving the pool empty. Offerings lie on its bed. We must snatch them up quickly. Already the first tremors have begun, the forerunners of the long-delayed earthquake that the monks held at bay for so long. So, we... The hunter's going to have an easy time finding the evidence, that's for sure. I do now have Porter, but of course Porter is not available for 55... Well, Porter is available for 55 seconds, the talk verb is not. We've got the commandments for the preservation of all that exists. Black Ellie, Damascene, matriarch of the Sisterhood of the Knot, was imprisoned by the Emperor Didius Julianus. She was reportedly instructed that the secret doctrines be recorded in writing to preserve against their loss. Regrettably, the story goes, Didius Julianus ordered that the work be entombed with her in an unmarked sepulchre. We've got Imam Kapaginlapur Garki Krippus, in which 4 enigmatic figures tell the stories that they've heard over the years at the Roost, the secret location where the aviform hours congregate. The Scar in the Sky. Nin wrote this and came to regret it. And another Watchman's Glass, which is actually kind of helpful in this case. Okay, what do I want to do with my explore verb? Not a lot at the moment. I want to be upgrading Forbidden Epics and other... other things. So yeah, I mean, there are things that I can do with that verb. I can... Oh, you know what? Unresolved ambiguities, I'm trying to think if I need those or not. No, I need the top level. Maybe I've got this wrong. I don't know, we'll see how it turns out. Okay, a little more mystique to hopefully take the bad guy off the scent. The glimmering, as predicted, will help us out with our upgrade duties, but we've got other priorities. I'm trying to think if it's worth it. I am going to do another... let me think about this. 59 seconds. No, I actually need this passion to be available for the painting, so we're going to hold off working for now. Yeah, there's nothing for me to do. I suppose the one thing I can do is send somebody out to just go exploring. Let's say we want a lively disciple on the chance that they generate vitality. At the moment here, I want to focus on secret histories, which means that I want to be going through the peacock door when I can. And of course means the Frangiclave is a pretty high priority for me to pick up, but that's always been true, so. Okay, so this is going to be used for painting. This might be inspiration for a painting, I'm not sure. I might have found someplace unusual. I'm not sure this exactly gets me what I need, so let's keep searching with the Lively Disciple. Let's paint... I'll take the young notoriety. Or not the, sorry, the old notoriety. They want glimmering. I've got glimmering. And I'll start translating the text as soon as I move my lore up. Do I want to hire a hireling? I can use them in the spider's door, but it's not clear that the spider door is going to really get me anything that I need, so we'll hold off on that for now. Another season of ambitions is coming up, so I'm going to have to do another painting. Pain's Gate, the wound is healed as much as it ever will be. A gate of pain and possibility remains. So Yzabet has got a knock scar. That will actually make them particularly helpful in rituals. Okay, so they found the notoriety. Nothing I really could have done about that. But hopefully the evidence will be gone before I need to worry about it. Okay, so the last time that we had a Splendor, There was Nectar in the Red Church and Secret Histories in the Red Church. Now, I don't believe there's repetition, but let's do it for science. Oh, that's dirty. Okay. So I got Dread, and the secret histories that I wanted were in the Red Church. Nice, thank you. That was fun. I dreamt last night of the Worm Museum. The hours have sent wards about it and warnings before it, but they have left it open to mortal adepts who can prove themselves by reaching it. Perhaps they hope to inspire revulsion against the things that bred in the corpse of the sun. Those things that here still, always dying, never dead. They came from nowhere, the warnings say, and if they complete their work, the Mansus will be nowhere one day. So the way I'm going to handle this, I'm going to use Explore to go to the Ecdysis Club. And I'm going to repair the Watchman's Glass once my more pressing matters have been taken care of. Of course, painting may have given me contentment. It's possible. We'll see. So I did get contentment, so that's some good news. Not a ton of money for it, but I'm curious how my staleness is. Okay, so my staleness is fine. I'm going to take the older notoriety again. And again, we'll throw passion at the problem to try and find some balance. I am a complete idiot. I will hopefully get the restlessness in time, and we will combine the dread and... It's going to be very close. Got it. Okay, so I don't want to send my lively disciple out at the moment. We'll go to the Ecdysis Club. It'll cost me money, but it's also likely to get contentment, or not. The entrance is lost beneath soft drapes of crimson, cinnabar, and intercardinine. Above the door, the club motto, Ingi rum imus noc teet consumi mur igni. It has been rendered as into the night circle we fly until the fire enjoys us. And of course, I had no business going to the Ecdysis Club because I used contentment already, and I just really have no business. Yeah. Let's focus on translating for the next little while. The top level of the Mansus always has that trade-off. The Worm Museum generates a lot of dread, but sometimes the Vagabond map is behind there, and I'm sure there is a way to figure it out. I've not found out the way to figure it out, so. The lights go down very gradually as the performance ends. There is no applause. We each drift into the street alone with our dream. So good news was I got contentment. Bad news is contentment is the one thing I don't need right now. And of course we've got a Season of Visions coming up, because why not? I don't know if there's a way for me to preserve this fleeting reminiscence long enough, but boy oh boy, I'm going to do my best. Nope, it's not going to work because the Season of Visions is going to emerge before I can get rid of the fascination. So my minion is returned, the evidence has been destroyed, and I am a little safer. Well, that's good, but unfortunately well, actually, you know what? I might be able to use the fascination in a ritual. Let's try something crazy. My recent work is considered notable. I've exhibited the latest paintings publicly. Surely someone will buy something. So still no staleness, which I'm happy about. So let's try the right of the map's edge. No, maybe the sunset right then. So we're going to bring Yzabet with the Nock Scar. Fascination will be the offering. See, the thing is, I don't think there's enough Grail. Holy smokes, it pulled off. Okay, Grail for the Raw Prophet's source and a little Moth for its Chaos addiction. So, what we did here was we used the Grail, we used Yuzabet's knock wound in addition to her moth, as well as the moth that comes from fascination, in order to be able to summon something, and as a result neutralize the effect. So Dalinu, that was for you. Alright, so talking. I am trying to lower my notoriety, not increase it right now. So not a lot for me to do with the talk verb other than generate or remove commissions. Yeah, I'm really at the point where I need to start finding more locations to go. Oh no, here's something I can do with the talk verb. I can get Tristan to repair my mirrors. Okay, Season of Suspicion coming up next, but I think we're safe. The sun still moves, the wind still walks. My journals are the labyrinth clue. Can't go through the peacock door yet. And maybe one of these books will give me a map? I'm not sure. Okay, this is the same text as before. There's an interesting question as to whether or not I want to read these books now. I think I am, because the fascination will be gone by the time I'm done reading this, and of course, because it's a higher level book, it's possible I'll generate some kind of fascination or dread. So, Ellie describes the powerful protective incantations used in a variety of circumstances. I don't think we'll get any rituals out of this, but if we do, so much the better. I'm certain that my adversary has lodged a copy of their notes elsewhere, with their solicitor, with their superior, or even with a contact in the press. This is troubling. So, again, we've got moth followers that will deal with that when the time comes. But for the meantime, let's... It enters the world one limb at a time, questing like a serpent, cawing like a crow, throbbing like a vein. It will cuddle close against my leg if I let it, and afterwards I will have to dispose of my shoes. The raw prophet, sometimes it divides, sometimes it unites, sometimes she speaks words of warning, and sometimes he advises on appetite. Its prophecies are confusion, their whispers confound. And if I would like, I can offer it my reason for a second health and a little comfort, and it's actually a very tempting one for me to go through. So I'm going to be chatting with the raw prophet about getting rid of the evidence first, I think. Yeah, that's a pretty high priority, actually. Let's use our passion back at the parish to make some money. And yeah, the raw prophet, once the 30 seconds for the Watchman's Glass is done, I'm gonna use them on the tentative evidence. I'd like to have a cycle of Tristan doing the work. Wow, he got that notoriety right away. I think this guy's gonna rip out the tentative evidence right, like instantaneously. So maybe what I should do instead, I'll just accept my fate on that, and we'll get Tristan to repair the other mirror. It is essential that the protections be completed every 4th year to defend against the entry of the worms and against the avidity of the wave and the wound. In the current history, at least, there is no indication that the protections have been performed regularly for at least the last 1,000 years. And we found the unceasing mysteries. The Grail ripped the Thunderskin from flesh. The Sister and Witch was born from 2 wombs. The velvet woke when the wood roots tasted blood. The heart is blood's drum, and here is its secret doctrine. Use this in a rite with a Byzantine tinct and a meteoric bullet, or other resources of equal power to summon a percussagant. So we skipped one level of lore and just got the top level unceasing mysteries. I'm happy enough with that outcome. Let's try upgrading some forbidden epics. No, that's dumb, because I already have good books that I can read. So we'll use our Frisian to translate the Moth book. Again, it's likely we'll get fascination out of this one, but you can't make an egg without breaking a few omelets. And Tristan, please repair my other mirror, because I'm about to break this one that you just gave me back. The peacock's door reflects the mirror I hold in my sleep, and the mirror reflects the peacock's door. Already a sensuous shiver ripples its surface. It aches for fracture, and when it finds that satisfaction, I will enter. So the reason why I didn't use the raw prophet to get rid of the evidence is because the evidence would have been ripped away while the prophet was working on it. So in this case, I'm just going to accept that it's damning evidence. I'd rather it not be, but I don't get to determine that. So instead, I'll just use the raw prophet to get rid of the damning evidence and hope that we don't have to deal with the suppression bureau until we've removed it. So, oh yes, I should be a little more nervous about using my parish this way. So I think I'm just going to double up Mystique and Passion for the next little while. That's because I potentially generate notoriety from Exaltation, and I'm looking to minimize notoriety, not increase it. So, Season of Ambitions, more chances for painting coming up. The hunter is putting the finishing touches to their investigation. We're doing okay for money so far, so I'm feeling okay about that, but I am really short on ways to... Of course we got notoriety. Why would the game have mercy on me at this point? I feel like the fact that there's a secret histories on here should give me more than... I feel like this would just give me an occult scrap. I kind of want to try it, but not that badly. I'll try that on a playthrough where I'm not close to winning. Or theoretically close to winning. Alright, so same words as before. No evidence that we're going to have a Season of Visions coming up, and potentially we'll be able to use the Restlessness to deal with Fascination if it does emerge. Speaking of Fascination. Okay, so the last time this happened, Fascination had a favor from an authority in the Red Church and winter in the Worm Museum. Now, again, we've run into these situations where there doesn't seem to be like a constant pattern. So, it's not that there isn't a pattern, because there's very clearly things that can emerge in the Worm Museum, and there's very clearly things that can emerge in the Red Church. But it doesn't seem that what we find in the Peacock Door has any predictive power in terms of what we'll find in the Red Church or the War Museum. It basically seems like you can get... Wait, you can get Dread in the Red Church? Did I get that right? I think I got this in the wrong order. But yeah, it feels like it's like Winter's Secret Histories and Dread that you get in the Worm Museum. Okay, Vagabond's Map and Grail. The funny thing is, it does actually seem to have been like a Winter Secret History, Dread Secret History. It might even be as easy as all that. I don't know, we'll see. And Incarnates, the very air is succulent with possibility. Pierce it and it might bleed. So if I want, I can summon Azim with this. The problem is that it's not clear to me what purpose Azim has in in the current environment. So when one dreams of the Red Church, one hears the voices of the Grail's names, the Thurslys and the Ivorys and the Lovelies and the rest. Not all Impausi are women, they might be heard to say. The hungers of women run no deeper than the hungers of men, but a mother is never far from her child at its birth, and that is not always true of a father. Come closer, and we'll show you what we mean. So we'll hang on to this, but it's not clear that I'm going to use it. I still don't have my mirror rotation quite down yet, so... And I'm going to be using the raw profit to get rid of the evidence anyway, so... Oops, I really wanted to read the text for that, but damning evidence. Earth, gape, oh no, it will not harbor me. With damning evidence of occultic activities in the city, the Suppression Bureau will be able to convict you. Evidence may survive the death of the hunter who created it. Okay, my recent work is considered significant. I may yet earn a living from this, but nothing is certain. So I've got a fleeting reminiscence on the odd chance that fascination comes to bug me. Glimmering if I want to upgrade lore, but it's probably going to be expired by the time that I need it. So the question is, I think I'm going to wait on the... I think I'm just going to wait on painting again. I'm reasonably comfortable as far as my finances are concerned. Okay, so no indication about what's going to be coming up next. So I am willing to do the painting, and I know I'll be safe. Yes, I have 20 seconds, but I believe I should be safe with the timer on this. Okay, so priority number one, the raw profit has to get rid of this damning evidence. As much as I want to have my Watchman's Glass repaired, this is a big danger for me, so. Oop, I think I might have been a little premature. Okay, well, this is good. I'll be able to combine both, assuming that we don't have one of those nasty seasons that comes up. So, birdsong. The beach crow, Lepur, hopefully I don't need to read that again, suggests it is not only a thief, but also a spy and even a voyeur. He has hidden the memory of the secret couplings among the hours and their names in the corners of the house as treasures to gloat over. There is particularly fevered speculation on the liaison between the Ringyu, that fervent hour of the wood, and the mare in the tree, who sometimes has been the witch's sister. All right. Well, again, more powerful lore. The real hours don't meet... Sorry, the mare in the yew. The real hours don't meet the gods from nowhere, but the Ringyu meets the mare in the tree, where the wood grows lush. Their couplings are forbidden, and forbidden things have power. And this is the story of their couplings. Okay, let's read The Star in the Sky. I feel like this is something that would generate dread. It's a winter text, and it's got a scary name, but we've got ways of handling these things, so... Again, I'm not using this in a ritual because I don't really have a use for it, but circumstances may change. It's a powerful lore, so it'll be kicking around for a while. Not too much money, to be honest. My recent work is considered significant. I may yet earn a living from this, but nothing is certain. Still don't have the staleness, which is nice. But I do need to start deciding whether or not I want to pursue other means of work. I don't think so, to be completely honest. So I think I'm just going to do this cycle of passion and mystique until I can come up with a better alternative. Let's do some contentment. In 6 seconds, I'll combine the dread and the fascination. And Season of Despair is coming up. That's going to be unlucky if the dread has the effect that I think it will. Okay. So based on the rotation we've been seeing so far, there should be Dread or Winter behind the Worm Museum. And then obviously there's no alternating pattern because the Peacock store just gave me another high-powered lore. So yeah, it's hard to tell whether or not there is a set pattern to these things. Anyways, we're going to get rid of the fascination and dread. I don't think I have any answers for the Season of Despair if it should emerge, but I will have some contentment to work with. My minion is returned, the evidence has been destroyed, and I am a little safer, so that's good news there. One possibility I can try with my talk verb is to do a cycle of sort of moth follower followed by heart follower to generate and destroy notoriety, but I'm not confident enough in my ability to sort of mitigate the effects of that. So in the meantime, I think I'm just going to keep painting. And then after that, I think I'm going to start doing some... Oh, you know what? I want to have a chat with the Raw Prophet about shredding some of my reason. All right. Let's wait for the Season of Despair to go by before I start reading this book. But yeah, I think I'll shred some of my reason for the to generate a little extra health. You don't get it directly, but there's a way of getting it. Okay, contentment, mystique. Yeah, not really making that much from painting. So I think what I'm going to do here, I'm going to give up one reason. I'm going to start... writing some books just to get my stock of Spintrea back up. Season of Suspicion coming up next. Dealing with the decrepitude might generate some notoriety, but we should be generally safe. It's a pretty healthy ratio of mystique to notoriety at the moment. But yeah, I think I think I'm still going to go through the door. And then I need to paint. Okay. Well, there goes those plans. Better not. I must be careful of the company that I keep. So we'll wait a couple seconds on this. Let me think a bit about my next few moves. So, chat with the Raw Prophet. Not everything from the Mansis can speak, but everything can understand mortal speech, even once it has passed the white door. So, let's have a chat about my reason. Wild lessons. If I give myself to the frenzy, I will learn a wild lesson. This will teach the consent of wounds, but it will convert reason to decrepitude, although even that might open a narrow door. So this is partly just about me preserving some of my health. So I'm going to be quite weak in terms of reason, but it's a sacrifice that I'm willing to make. Okay, so I finished my commission, which is good. Question is, what do I want to do with work now? I think I need to wait until I can paint. But nothing's stopping me from going through the peacock door, so... Oh, and we're definitely in a position where I can read the scar in the sky. I should have done that earlier. I was really just waiting so that the season of despair would have like 10 seconds down just so I could read the book. But that's fine. It's not the end of the world. So as usual, we'll just chuck a couple. See, the mystique's going to be now it's a 1 in 5 chance. Well, that's fine. If he finds it, then I just have another use for the raw prophet. I might see if I can resummon the raw prophet now that I think of it. Okay, Colors of the Night. As always, we spend a bit to make some dough. I'm trying to remember. I think it's... Oh, Jesus Christ. This guy knows exactly what to look for. So yeah, I definitely have use for the raw prophet then. Okay, so we've got a subtle rupture for summoning if I want it. I've got some decrepitude, which I'm going to need to work with. And... Whew. Yeah, there's a few ways that I can profitably use this. Think I'm going to resummon the raw prophet before I do anything. I can use the subtle rupture for that. I also always forget how to recover the decrepitude, so I might experiment a little bit with the rituals. Oh boy. Okay, so a splendor for lantern, which is absolutely useless to me right now. So, again, just trying to get... Caution to the wind, my friends. Oh, Jesus. The world is still as ice. Each movement is a journey, a 15th order influence. This might be the personal attention of an hour. This can be used in some rites to summon minions. If unused, it will become dread. Alright, so... So the winter's either going to turn into dread, or I can summon a maid in the mirror, but it's not at all clear what I... Like, I can summon the maid, but what am I going to do with it? So, last night I visited the Worm Museum, which is both within the manses for security and without for safety. The Hours have charged the Colonel with its defense, and even the Lionsmith does not challenge him here. Winter is the chiefest aspect of this place. The worms thrive where things end, but they can also be ended, and they must, if the mansis is to endure. This morning, the chilly certainty of the Colonel's hand still lies on my shoulder. So again, we've cracked our mirrors. I'm going to wait the 2 seconds for my painting to finish, and then I'm going to re-summon the raw prophet, so this means that Tristan can go repair my mirror. I mean, eventually I'm going to want to deal with the evidence, but we might as well make the most of the time. And we've got dread. That's not as surprising. Oh, hello! But the right intercalate might be what I need, so... The final page is crowded. Each reader of the book records the same word. Now it is my turn. So we've got the wolf word. When the forge is cold and the glory is dark and the wood is dust, perhaps the wolf divided will rest, but only until it can devour itself. The word almost expresses the divided one's hatred. Speak this to a hunter and it might drive them insane on the spot. By the way, for those of you who want to know what the wolf divided looks like, there it is. Alright, so here's the right intercalate. This rite recapitulates the sun's abominable fate. It is used in extreme times by foolish adepts. Restlessness is coming up next, so I'm somewhat safe. So let's double up the dread and contentment for now. Just get that emergency dealt with. Again, we wait on the raw prophet. So this can't be the summon. This can't be it either. The Threshold Ascension requires 7 lock scars and knock aspect to the 24th intensity. So like if I went crazy with this, I've got the 22. Once I am 7 locks, I may be opened for my people to pass. That is what the yearning has been teaching me. These long nights past, my congregation's prayers will exalt my pain. Now this is a really interesting question though, because God, do I really want to go ahead with this? Oh, I'm sorry, Dalanu. I didn't see your message saying, see you next time, have fun. So this is the dilemma that I have. If I need to do this all 7 times, and I wind up burning... like, so if I need to keep repeating this over and over, effectively, yeah, you know what? I think I have a slightly... Oh no, I don't have a lesser knock to give up. Okay, I really do want to try this, but let's prepare for the possibility that this is not the end, and that I'm actually going to need to do this multiple times. Because I really don't think I want to like eliminate my two. Oh, you know what I could have done? I could do Subtle Rupture, Dexterous Disciple, Lantern Scar, Azoth. So that's a surplus of 2. Actually, you know what? Do I even need the Dexterous Disciple? No, I don't. Ooh, this is a spicier choice. You know what? I'm willing to go with this. This does not involve as much sacrifice, so once I am 7 locks, I may be opened for my people to pass. That is what the yearning has been teaching me these long nights past. My congregation's prayers will exalt my pain. Opening the scars. So this does mean I lose the... Oh, actually, does it mean? No, I can still... I'm going to work this raw profit to the bone. Another scar, the tide of pain recedes. For a moment it is relief, and then the despair floods in. Perhaps I am not yet ready. Perhaps I never will be. Whew, all right. Another scar. Once more, my weeping faithful ply their instruments. See to my thirsts, wipe the blood from my mouth. Perhaps I will burst like ripe fruit. Perhaps I will fall like rain. Almost lost the profit. Okay, this will keep him occupied. Yeah, I mean, this is a horrifying DLC, but like, this is really great stuff. The tide of pain recedes. For a moment it is a relief, and then despair floods in. Perhaps I'm not yet ready, perhaps I never will be. The heartlock scar. When I am a threshold, this scar will open at the beat of the drum. Once more my weeping faithful ply their instruments. See to my thirst, wipe the blood from my mouth. Perhaps I will burst like ripe fruit, perhaps I will fall like rain. So we're not going to be able to paint away this restlessness because we're in the middle of the ritual. We've got an explosion of despair waiting for me between restlessness, a bitter atmosphere, and what we're amassing with this ritual. I hope to God that there is not some terrifying order that I've neglected. This one says this scar will open last. So that's the only instruction we've been given, but that doesn't mean that there isn't some like hint that I haven't been given earlier on that I'm missing out on. Let's get... Ooh, this is a tricky call. I think I'm going to wait and we're going to talk with the Raw Prophet next. The tide of pain recedes. For a moment it is relief, and then the despair floods in. Perhaps I'm not yet ready, perhaps I never will be. The forge lock scar. When I'm a threshold, this scar will open to the touch of hot iron. Once more my weeping faithful ply their instruments. See to my thirst, wipe the blood from my mouth. Perhaps I will burst like ripe fruit, perhaps I will fall like rain. I'm curious here. Okay, so I am going to wait. I'm definitely going to do the winter at the end. I'm certain that my adversary has lodged a copy of their notes elsewhere, with their solicitor, with their superior, or even with a contact in the press. This is troubling. I gotta be pretty sharp on this this timer if I want to keep the Raw Prophet. Okay, so this will help me with at least one of the dread that generates. Fascination's coming up next. The tide of pain recedes. For a moment it is a relief, and then the despair floods in. Perhaps I'm not yet ready, perhaps I never will be. The edgelock scar. When I am a threshold, this scar will open beneath a blade's touch. Once more my weeping faithful ply their instruments. See to my thirst, wipe the blood from my mouth, and perhaps I will burst like a fruit, perhaps I will fall like rain. Okay, let's get rid of that dread right away. Obviously, we've abandoned any other intentions as far as our verbs are concerned, but we're a little busy at the moment. The tide of pain recedes. For a moment it is a relief, and then the despair floods in. Perhaps I'm not yet ready, perhaps I never will be. Rail lock scar. Once more my weeping faithful ply their instruments to see to my thirsts, wipe the blood from my mouth. Perhaps I will burst like a ripe fruit, Perhaps I will fall like rain. Interestingly enough, I don't think we needed the right intercalate for this, but it let me fill up the time. All right, so if the despair bomb goes off, I'm cooked. The tide of pain recedes. For a moment it is a relief, and then the despair floods in. Perhaps I'm not yet ready, perhaps I never will be. The winter lock scar. When I am a threshold, this scar will open last. My people draw back from me, crying, shouting, laughing. I cannot be beautiful in their eyes. Not now, after all that they have done. But now they look upon me as I might be a new sky. My minion is returned. The evidence has been destroyed. I am a little safer. The arms of the mother. When I open like the arms of the mother, and open I will remain, as the shell from which the pearl is taken. The space where I was will be a postern gate in the fortress of days, that only my initiates will ever pass. But in the fifth history alone, my skin will peel from me in tatters. My teeth will be long, and my flesh scant upon my bones as sea wrack. And I will rise like a wave, and hood myself to mark what I have become. Congratulations on a threshold victory. You have wrestled the game to its knees. There are other paths. Thank you, A Pillow of Winds. All right, I'll just read that one more time after the music's done. So, the Arms of the Mother. This is the Mother of Ants card. This we've seen a very long time before, but we've not had a knock victory for it. The Arms of the Mother. When I open like the arms of the mother, and open I will remain, as the shell from which the pearl is taken. The space where I was will be a postern gate in the fortress of days, that only my initiates will ever pass. But in the fifth history alone, my skin will peel from me in tatters. My teeth will be long, and my flesh scant upon my bones as sea wrack, and I will rise like a wave and hood myself to mark what I have become. So we're not going to do another descent tonight, but I do want to see what options I have available when the time comes up. And we would get the Bright Young Thing, the Physician, and the Detective. So the Apostle Victory, man, that's a tough one. In terms of, so are you talking about in terms of the endings that I like, or in terms of the overall experience? The Apostle Victory is a very satisfying one to go through. The Apostle Victory really feels like you have been on this big journey from the very beginning, and you need to use everything you've learned in the game to overcome the challenges. The thing is, I'm not a huge Grail guy, so as interesting as I find the Devouring one, I really like the imagery of the priest all the way through it. So I'm personally partial to the priest ending. But they're both interesting. I think there's a little something for me about the threshold ending. I am more of I would definitely say I'm more of a knock bro than a Grail bro. So in addition to both the religious imagery and the just everything sort of surrounding knock, I'm probably a little more favorable to this ending. It's also the one that I've recently done, so I definitely feel closer to that. We're going to be done for tonight, guys, but there's a couple of details I'd like to share with you. We're going to be picking up with the Ghoul next week on Wednesday, but here's a question now. Roland Knox is a real person. Does anybody know who that guy is? Sorry, not Roland. Ronald Knox. I wouldn't expect anybody to know that name, but I'm curious if anybody looked them up while I was playing this. Because in the closing minutes of the stream, I'd love to tell you about this guy. Actually, I'll take it'll probably take a while to get a reply anyway, so I'm going to start reading the Wikipedia page, and if somebody else knows, I'll let them pick it up. So, Ronald Knox, Arbuthnot Knox, 17th of February 1888 to the 24th of August 1957, was an English Catholic priest, theologian, and author of detective stories. He was also a writer and regular broadcaster for the BBC Radio. So I'm not going to do the entire history of him. Knox resigned as an Anglican chaplain in 1917 when he became a Roman Catholic. In response to Knox's conversion to Roman Catholicism, his father cut him out of his will, so on and so forth. But this has nothing to do with Cultist Simulator, by the way. I just wanted a good priest name, and this is one that I think people maybe don't appreciate this guy's sort of place in history. So in January 1926, for one of his regular BBC radio programs, Knox broadcast a simulated live report of a revolution sweeping across London entitled Broadcasting from the Barricades. In addition to live reports of several people, including a government minister being lynched, his broadcast mixed supposed band music from the Savoy Hotel with the hotel's purported destruction by trench mortars. The Houses of Parliament and Clock Tower were also said to have been flattened. Because the broadcast occurred on a snowy weekend, much of the United Kingdom was unable to get the newspapers until days later. The lack of newspapers caused a minor panic, and it was believed that the events in London caused this. 4 months later, there was considerable public disorder during the general strike, so the possibility of a revolution had been realistic at the time. A 2005, and this is the reason why this is significant, if it's not obvious to you what this is sort of a predecessor to. A 2005 BBC report on the broadcast suggests that the innovative style of Knox's program may have influenced Orson Welles' radio broadcast The War of the Worlds, 1938, which it foreshadowed in its consequences. In an interview for the book This Is Orson Welles, Welles himself said that the broadcast gave him the idea for The War of the Worlds. The script of the broadcast is reprinted in Essays and Satire, 1928, as A Forgotten Interlude. So, essentially 12 years before Orson Welles did his very famous War of the Worlds broadcast, it was in fact this British Catholic priest who, yes, Resonance Factor, we just got the threshold victory. But yeah, so essentially 12 years before Orson Welles' War of the Worlds, it was actually a British Catholic priest who did a much more serious, like, this got him in a lot of trouble. He was, this was not considered to be even remotely in good taste, precisely because of things like the general strike. Whereas War of the Worlds, like, all the stories about War of the Worlds, like, leading to people's suicides and stuff like that, all of that is nonsense. And there were plenty of people at the time who took it as an adaptation of the H.G. Wells story. But yeah, that's a fun little bit of history for you. Again, there's no deep story behind it. There's no secret meaning behind particularly choosing this name. Although he certainly did more than the radio program. You know, he's definitely an accomplished individual. But I thought it would be a fun little opportunity to have a probably a more appropriate reference than some of my other ones. I know I tend to do a lot of why can't you see the stream? I have no idea, Tall Man Alive. Is anybody else affected by that? But yeah, I thought rather than, you know, having like Fred Don't Stare or HP Starcraft or anything like that, I would take a name that I could reveal a little bit later on. Yeah, no worries, Tall Man Alive. The VOD's always available for those who want to see what the ending looks like. What else is there to say? Like I said, we'll be back to the ghoul in a little bit. I actually just want to see if I got my achievements right away. Yep, unsealed and unseamed. In the fifth history alone, I will rise like a wave and hood myself to mark what I have become. Did I get any other fancy achievements? No. Because I already got my key earlier. Still plenty of... so actually, just to give you guys an idea, once I've finished my ghoul playthrough and I do more VOD ones, the achievements I have not yet achieved. Bars Across the Sun. My trial was contentious, but thanks to the inspector, here I am. So I've not actually done a prison loss since they implemented the achievements. Smooth Without Red Within. So the funny thing is I have the Apostle Grail victory, but because Weather Factory gave me an Apostle save file before I actually achieved a Grail victory, I have the Grail Apostle victory before I have the Grail victory. What happened with this one? How can I find this text again? I was ripped apart. I became the gate through which my followers would go through. I've still not upgraded an Assassin, a Skin Twister, or the Rest is Silence. So Edge, Moth, and Winter, I still need to get higher level characters for. The Dodo and the Dragon, I've become something winged, something dark and undying, something that no longer is. Actually, probably shouldn't be reading the text for these because they reveal a little bit. I've not got the Moth victory yet. I don't have any of the Ever After victories, which also there's actually a few of those. I have gotten the trophy victory, but I did not get the trophy victory at a time when that achievement was implemented. So I need to do the trophy one next week. Tall Man Alive. Misheard. That is became the Gape, which is not incorrect, but even more unpleasant to picture. Goatsy DLC incoming. Is this gonna be your next presentation for Dirty Rectangles? It's pretty easy to mod now. I've not done an Apostle Forge or Lantern Victory, Breaking Dawn a Third Way. And then there is Nothing Must Be Forgotten. I carry the colors of Lost Hours. Oh, sorry, I'm going to shut up about that. That's almost certainly the Ghoul one. There are also the 4 hidden achievements. And those ones are... I believe they are related to... I think they might actually wind up being the related to the... I know for sure that they are the ones that were brought in with this latest patch. I don't remember if they're related to the priest and the ghoul or if they're just added content that was brought in. I also don't have the House of the Moon. That one I'm not quite sure about either. But yeah, the funny thing is, like, some of the most common achievements are ones that I haven't picked up. The rarest achievement I have right now, I think, is the Priest Victory, because it looks like some of the rarest ones are actually the Ever After endings. Our Constancy Assured is the rarest right now. Anyways, obviously I'm wearing out my welcome. Thank you everybody for watching The Priest. It's not to say that I won't do future Priest content, but obviously this is the end of this, the playthrough that we began when... it wasn't actually... This was the one that we did before The Priest was released. This is the one that we did for Ludo Naricon, and the Ghoul is the one that we did for the release of the content. So, quick reminder for those of you who do not own Cultist Simulator yet, it is 33% off, so if you are in Canada like me, $15.26. If you want to buy the Anthology Edition, it is 37% off. The DLC technically is not on sale, so Canadian it's $3.39 each. Obviously US, it's a little bit different. The Anthology Edition will get you the Dancer, the Priest, the Ghoul, Cultist Simulator itself, as well as the original soundtrack. The DLC all together is what? Let's say $340 to make it easy. So you're looking at about $10.20. So if you just for some reason really, really hate this lovely music by Canadian, or at least a Canadian, I don't know if the rest of the team is Canadian, if you're just terrified by this music and you never want to listen to it ever, I suppose you can save about $3 by just buying the DLC individually. I would say the best value by far is the Anthology Edition because you get all the DLC as well as this lovely music to listen to. Makes your day that much more interesting. I see 6 people on my list who want this game right now, so now is a good time to pick it up. And if you already own it, I would recommend that you pick one up for a friend if you are so inclined. Other than that, next week, we're back to the Ghoul. The Ghoul, I really have not made a lot of progress on, so there's going to be lots of things to discover. Following the Ghoul playthrough, if there's no Book of Hours content, what I might do is free up my Wednesday live casts for another game. Hopefully some stuff that will have come from this Dirty Rectangles thing that I leave you all for every 3 months for, but it could be anything. There's a lot of games I've really been meaning to show, and because my Fridays kind of get locked up with other things, it might be a good opportunity for me to try and clear out a little bit of my backlog. Once there's Book of Hours content to stream, I will definitely be doing that live. And then it doesn't mean that Cultist Simulator is going away. What will likely happen is I will be doing VOD-oriented content for it if I finish the Ghoul before there's Book of Hours things for me to do, and likely I will put those as VODcasts, much like the Tuesday Daggerfall streams, and when I can, Thursday Surviving Mars streams, although of course I've not been able to do Surviving Mars for the last couple of weeks. This will include tomorrow, unfortunately, but that's life, unfortunately. For those of you who would like to know about Ronald Knox, there's his Wikipedia page, just RONALDKNOX, if you're one of the people who like watching these on YouTube. And without further ado, let's find somebody to host tonight. Actually, while I'm at it, I did not shout out a single person tonight. So, actually, while I'm at it, Sean LeBlanc makes video games. He actually makes really cool video games too. There is his itch page. I don't remember it. I don't think I actually I've talked about this one a lot, but for those of you who've not tried it out, I really was charmed by Why Do Bees. So for those of you who've never checked this out, I don't know if Why Do Bees is the best first one to go for. There's a lot of stuff there. Homeward Bound also has some interesting ideas. That's not a solo job. That was something done at the Global Game Jam this year. I definitely remember the Definitely a Real MMO very vividly because this thing brought down the house when I watched it. It was also like one of the first times I went in there. Honestly, though, you should check out a lot of it. Actually, I think a lot of you will also like Judgment. Judgment is a very appropriate... It is probably the definitive tarot game in Bitsy. No, it's a good... It's all good stuff. Please check him out. He is definitely somebody who I look forward to seeing what he's come up with over the course of the over the course of the month in terms of the Dirty Rectangles group. Although, in fairness, that could be said for a lot of people in that group. And as far as people I will be hosting, let's host Ponce, who normally watches, but I don't always get a chance to host him. Ponce is, I want to say, former League of Legends player, but he's currently playing Teamfight Tactics, which I believe is a Riot game. One of the things that makes Ponce so unique, he's got first of all, his degree is in archaeology, and he actually knows a lot of really cool history. So be sure to bug him for some details like that if you want. He is unique among League streamers because there's an entire genre of people who just freak out. Ponce is one of the most unflappable people I have ever met. And for those of you who have met me, you know that I'm very frustrating to be around. I have seen Ponce in various states of sobriety, and I think the worst I have ever seen him in terms of like really losing his cool, I believe I've seen him once raise an eyebrow at someone. So he's a really great guy. He is partnered. He does this for a living still, I think. And he's definitely somebody who I admire quite a bit, but don't always get a chance to host. So I'd love it if you guys would come along. Feel free to use the raid message if you want. We're tired of system talk. Heard this place was better. If/or/and you have not already clicked on that Sean LeBlanc link, please do so, because if I don't, then I'm going to do a 24-hour stream of every single one of his games, and then you'll be forced to watch it. Or you won't watch it at all, I guess. Anyways, I'm going to leave it with the good people at the Ponce channel, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening. I will see you all Friday for most likely Night Team 4, Monday for Stellaris, and of course, if you're only here for the crazy cult stuff, we're going to be back to the Ghoul in exactly a week. Have a good one.